Welcome, everyone, to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is our NHL analyst and expert, the grumpy old man. They say there's no shame in his game because he's always the same.
That's me.
How are you doing this fine Sunday evening, Grumpy? How are you doing on a Sunday evening talking a little Islanders action?
I'm doing okay. We're going to throw some NFL stuff in here, right?
No, what are you talking about?
What?
No, hold on. This is our Islander podcast, Grump. This is the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. Where's the lack of communication, Grumpy? Yes, this is our Islanders podcast. But for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. This is a twice-a-week all Islanders podcast that happens every Wednesday and Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Wednesday and Saturday, 8 o'clock. It's Sunday at 8:20.
I know.
So
yes.
do those times and days really matter at all?
They do. They do matter. Those times and days do matter, right? So, we're going to talk a little bit about New Year's resolutions. Ooh, we'll talk a little bit about that. But yes, they do matter. So today I know we're on a Sunday live, obviously New Year's Eve, right? Everything else that goes on. Tough to go ahead and have a show on New Year's Eve. But for all of you who are new, again, Wednesdays and Saturdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. To make, again, we invite you to stick around a while. We invite you to subscribe on YouTube, to like on Facebook, and to follow on Twitter. So make sure you go ahead and stick around a while. If you enjoy the content, the best way to let us know is by leaving a thumbs up. Apparently, it helps the algorithm. It gets mine and the grumpy old man's word out to the masses. But today, we're going live during the Islanders against the Seattle Kraken. This evening, the first game of 2023 for our New York Islanders. What's that, Grumpy?
The Kraken just scored. All right, we look like dog shit so
Correct.
far, honestly. I don't know how many shots they have on goal. I know we've blocked, I think, 7 already. 10 minutes in, I don't even know if we have a shot on goal. It's been brutal.
We've got one shot on net. We're being outshot. Oh, my God. We're being outshot. Was it like 8-1?
Outshot, out-hustled, out everything.
I thought maybe there could have been an offsides as they entered the zone, but it must have been close.
No, it was not.
Okay. Islanders, here it is, right? We're singing the glory of the Islanders and the praise of the Islanders. Not too long ago, after the impressive win they had against Pittsburgh, they go ahead and beat Columbus. They beat Florida handily, in 5-1 games, off to a slow and sluggish start to 2020.
Adam Larson beat that slug 38 special to the spot for the goal. Come on, 38 special, pick it up.
I saw Larson like, holy crap. Adam Larson. That's a name I haven't thought of in a long time. The Islanders are being outshot early 8-1 against the Seattle Kraken.
Now, you know who the commentators are today?
Yes, I do. One that is not liked by the hockey community, Leah Hextall, who I assume
Let
got
me
her
tell you
job
something.
because of her uncle. But it's nepotism runs its finest, and there are guys and gals who get jobs that they don't deserve. But Leah Hextall is not liked by many.
Bangs are out. All right. I'm just telling you, women don't wear bangs anymore. And Ray Ferraro is also with her. I wonder if he's getting paid hazardous duty pay. It's painful. Painful, listen to her. They came on the pregame and she's mumbling and bumbling. She doesn't know anybody's name. You think Butch was out there. I mean,
Oh,
you know what she reminds me of?
yikes.
I want you to pull up a picture, the cover photo of the movie The Orphan, because that's what she looks like.
Oh, God. No,
You
Grumpy.
pull it up and put Leah, the orphan Hextall, put her up and put a same, side by side. That's what I need you to do.
Hold on. The only orphan I'm seeing has pigtails and looks like a little
That's
girl.
her.
Now, what? What do you mean? Hold on. This is what? No, she doesn't look like that.
Put her up. I'll tell you if she does or not.
You're going to be the one you're going to be the arbiter of that, huh?
That's right. Put it up.
Oh my gosh. Let me ask you this. Better to have Butch or better to have Leah? Both are really bad at this.
But she's annoying. She's annoying.
Okay. She can at least get the names right. And
No,
here's the one thing about Leah too. At least she's not going to be over there saying, "Oh, well, he lets his feet right there. That should be a penalty." Yeah. I mean, like Butch.
because she doesn't know what the sport's about.
That's not what
That's
Leah
her.
looks like.
That's her.
She have
Actually,
a choker on too. Oh, stop.
This girl is actually better than her.
Oh, stop. Anyway, I just know Leah Hextall is not liked by not only the Islanders community, but a lot of hockey communities. It's one of those items to where, again, just nepotism because her uncle played in the NHL. She's got herself a job. Maybe
all of her segues are so ham-handed.
I'd rather have AJ Malesko in that type of role too.
Simple. Yeah, because her hair does not come through the screen. So yes, I agree.
Anyway, let's talk a little Islanders hockey, Grumpy, before we get too derailed. Well, hold on. I forgot to mention. We also have a second podcast called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. It is an all sports podcast that takes place every Thursday. What time, Grumpy, on Thursday?
Supposedly 9:00.
Thursday, 9:00 Eastern Standard Time, and Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Obviously, you can see we have foregone this week's episode of TJ and the Grumpy Old Man to make sure we can provide you guys Islander content for this week. So we've got that on. It's called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. It can be found in the link in the description below, or it can be found as a featured channel on our YouTube page. You can see TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. We talk everything sports on that show. We talk NFL, college athletics, college football, college basketball, NBA, MLB, NHL, NFL. I mentioned already.
World soccer.
We talk anything and everything sports. That's called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man, and that is in the link in the description below.
Yes. Fan fights.
Fan fights as well, Grumpy. But it is Islanders off to a painfully slow start. We had talked a little bit, Grumpy, about New Year's resolutions, Grump. You had a resolution. I have a resolution. I'll go first with my resolution, Grumpy. I have made the resolution that I am going to be on time to the podcast.
Well, you already missed that one, didn't you?
Hold on. This is a special podcast. Doesn't count. I'm going to be, for a regular scheduled podcast, I'm going to be on time, ladies and gentlemen. That is the goal. That's the goal this year, to be on time and to arrive on time. It's going to be tough. I'm going to need the power of Jesus Christ in order to do that, because it's very tough for me to run on schedule. But that is the goal for me this year, to be on time. Grumpy, do you have any New Year's resolutions for this show and this podcast?
I do not.
You don't have any. You don't have any, really?
No. Why don't you tell the people your New Year's resolution for me?
No, you said you had one, to be less grumpy. What are you talking about? You talked about this with me. I don't know why you're saying it's my resolution for you. I don't give a shit.
Do you remember what I explained to you? That my name is the Grumpy Old Man. If you want me not to be grumpy, I'd have to change my name.
Maybe you don't understand how I even talked to you about this beforehand. I thought we were going to do a little bit of a bit on it. And by the end, you were going to be back to your grumpy self. It was a little funny bit about how people don't continue with New Year's resolutions. But I can see, because the TV's on, your brain and neurons aren't connecting, Grump. you're missing it. You're missing what
All
we
right,
had
here's the
talked about
thing.
before. And
All right,
shitty job by Grump.
my
God almighty. Already starting off the new year on a
my New
shitty
Year's
start.
resolution is to be. Hold on, I wrote it down for you. Less grumpy. How's that work? That good?
Shitty job by you, Grumpy. You
I'm
couldn't
sorry.
even sell it. You couldn't even sell it.
I'm not selling that. Look,
Ah,
I'm smiling. Look how happy I am. Woo-hoo.
you know what, Grumpy? Glad you couldn't sell it. You couldn't go through what we talked about. Anyway, let's talk a little bit here. Islanders hockey. I thought they looked good against Columbus for the most part. They dominated Columbus. Columbus sucks. They're going to be in a lottery selection. They're going to be a top 5 pick, no doubt about it. They're trying to enter the Connor Bedard sweepstakes. That's a game that we had to win. It didn't really tell me too much when we beat up on the lowly opponents, but we had talked about how much we liked that victory against Pittsburgh. We looked dominant from start to finish. We looked dominant against Columbus, and we get a little bit of a break. Maybe we're out drinking too late. Maybe the team was out drinking too late on New Year's Eve, but we look sluggish to start for the first period.
Seattle looks really good. I don't think they're very good defensively, but they move the puck in the offensive zone. We've been in full scramble mode. Sorokin's made quite a few fantastic saves already. The shot he got beat on, really nothing you could do on that. It's been some tough sledding for us so far tonight.
Yes. And it's one of those things that you'd like to see us bounce back from. But, here we've talked about it before. The teams in our conference are super tough and super competitive. I don't know if it would be happening to look up about how great the Carolina Hurricanes are playing and how fantastic the Washington Capitals are playing. But we're going to have to be really, really competent this year. We're going to have to start increasing our level of play. It's that simple. As all these other teams are continuing to ratchet things up, the Islanders sit 5th in the division, tied with the Rangers on points, but ahead on regulation wins.
Well, actually, we are now behind the Rangers. They won today.
Oh, I'm sorry. Gotcha.
So we have to win to keep up with them.
So currently sitting in 6th at the time of this podcast, but could be 5th. I mean, we're towards the bottom end of the division. It just shows you how tough of the Metro division is. Anybody who's a returning listener knows we've talked about how tough this division is and how tough the conference is. So we're going to need to really step things up. Not a good start against the Seattle Kraken, who have had a fantastic season, best season in their second year, right? Second year of the franchise history, best season the franchise has had. Off to a great start this year. The Seattle Kraken Grump.
Yes. And if we win tonight, we will leapfrog both Pittsburgh and the Rangers. We'll have the same amount of points as the Rangers at 46, but the Penguins have 44 points. Now, I don't know if you know this, but as hot as the Penguins were, they've lost 4 in a row now.
Yeah, I did see that. Remember when we were on the show last time, I think it was a few Wednesdays ago, they had a 4-goal lead against the Detroit Red Wings, and they found a way to lose in overtime. They had a 4-goal lead, found a way to lose. The Devils, continue to find ways to lose. Very close games, overtime, shootout. They lost today to the Hurricanes. Hurricanes on an 11-game winning streak. But the Devils found a way to lose today. The Florida Panthers are not a concern at all. I think Paul Maurice is going to be out on his ass in no time at all, or he should be. But yes, Grumpy, it's the Penguins right now are finding ways to lose, and seems so with the Devils. But they still have quite a bit of a lead on us. And remember, the Penguins, even if we jump over them, do have games in hand.
True. I agree.
That's all. Okay. What else? Oh, I didn't know you're drinking, Grumpy. I don't have you pulled up here on my screen. Islanders being outshot 9-2 so far this first period. I mean, they've been dominated pretty much from start to finish. What have you thought? You were originally very high on Parker Weatherspoon, thinking, oh, he's very serviceable. Has anything changed?
All right. Okay. Saying I was extremely high on Parker Weatherspoon by saying that he's a serviceable defenseman. Does that sound like extremely high on someone by saying that they're serviceable? It doesn't seem like that's hey, yeah, he's serviceable. Wow, that's a rousing endorsement. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. Okay. I understand your point.
You
you were bullish on him. You thought he played well enough to say this is a guy that can play every night. And you saw the same thing about Aturatu. I mean, there are some updates, at least on the injury front. Not trying to change topics, but Varlamov is back skating. Palmieri back skating. We're having some of those injured Islanders back skating.
Okay. See how you're pushing your narrative?
What's my
I
narrative?
never said, oh, I think he could play, all the time. No, I just said he's serviceable. It means you need a guy who can chip in every once in a while. He's serviceable. He can do that for you. You make it sound like I said he was a Norris Trophy candidate, which is not the case.
Well, I can tell you this. One thing we've noticed over this time frame, man, oh man, does the Islanders power play really suck right now. I won't say they're bad completely, but I mean, we have been cold, ice freaking cold, like freezer cold right now for the power play. 1 for our last 29 attempts, including 0 for 1 so far today. And again, that is since December 10th until present day. We are 1 for 29.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but I'd say that we're much colder than freezer cold, because I don't know if you know the temperature of a freezer, but usually it's not below like 20 degrees. So, I mean, I don't think that's super cold. And people who live in New York say, okay, that's a brisk morning, but not it's colder than a freezer cold has been the power play.
Mm.
Here's what my New Year's resolution is.
Like
I'm going to correct
ice.
you. I'm going to correct you on any faux pas that you manage to throw out there. So these podcasts could go 8-10 hours long.
Yeah, gracious. But just today, it would be over 10 game margin, right? If we don't score a power play goal today, 1 power play goal over the last 10 games, and right, we've already got 29 attempts. If we get 1 more attempt, we don't score on it, we'll be 1 for 30 at least over the last 10 games, right? Our power play special teams in that regard have not been great. We continue to generate offense from our defensemen. We've talked about the sustainability of that. We've talked about how that leaves you open and susceptible on the other end. But the power play's got to get better, Grumpy. What are your suggestions as to what can help remedy that?
New players, more skilled, more talented players on the offensive side of the puck.
Was that just an easy?
It's the same. I've been saying it for years, right? You were saying it's coaching. I'm like, no, it's the players. It's the players. We need more offensively talented players. You got one guy, and a guy at the point. That's it. That's all we got. You want to know who the coach of Seattle is right now?
Who's that, Grump? Tell us.
Dave Eddie Haskell is the coach. Used to be coach of the Flyers. You know what Eddie Haskell is, TJ?
Name sounds familiar, Grumpy.
He was on a TV show once, a long time ago.
What TV show?
Leave It to Beaver.
No, he wasn't.
Yes.
The show when Dave Haskell right here played for North Dakota, coach at North Dakota. Freaking Flyers. Yeah, that's right. He was the Flyers coach.
Eddie Haskell was Wally's best friend on Leave It to Beaver.
Mm.
Dave Eddie Haskell. See, here's the thing. When I got to deal with someone who just has no comedic timing.
I don't know who the F that is, Grumpy. I don't know what you want me to tell you. I don't know who that is.
I just told you who it was. I said he was on the TV show Leave It to Beaver. Eddie Haskell. Dave Eddie, in quotes, Haskell. All right, move on.
Yeah, I don't know why you're still hammering down on it. Yeah, we'll continue to move on. Let's talk some Islander hockey, Grump. You said new personnel is the only thing that could remedy the power play. Noah Dobson had helped generate, power play opportunities. We've been a little bit dry in that regard. I mean, like, is there anything that he's done differently? Is there anything structurally that the Islanders power play has done differently over the last 10 games that has caused us to go on the skid for power play results?
No. I mean, we're just not a great power play. The passes don't have any pace. They're not crisp. We're just not talented enough. That's it. There's nothing to do with coaching. You got Barzal, you got Dobson, and if Nelson is hot, one time in the puck, okay, maybe we got a shot there. That's it. That's all we have.
And I don't know if you're seeing the lines that's out here right now. You have Matt Barzal on a line with Casey Zizekas and Josh Bailey.
Ugh.
That is a freaking forward group, ladies and gentlemen. Josh Bailey, Casey Zizekas, and Matt Barzal.
Okay. Do you remember what I just said about not having enough talent on the offensive side of the puck? There you go. That's your number one line. Josh freaking Bailey is somehow on there. And now Casey Zizekas, a career fourth line center, is now on the first line.
Oh, my gosh. Hard. And Fashing has played well. I'm not sure why if they're so hell bent on putting a fourth liner in that role, why is he not the guy who's got that opportunity?
Why not put Zizekas, Fashing, and Barzal? Why is Josh Bailey up there?
Hold on. My gosh. Oh, it just talks about the depth that we have for a forward group. We do have depth, right, to a certain extent. But when you're having to roll out guys like Zizekas and Bailey on the first line, that's troublesome. You know what I mean? That's not it's a recipe for failure.
Matty B just scored. Here's the thing. Seattle's terrible defensively. Terrible. That's a nice little redirect for Matty B. Now he has 9 goals on the season.
It's crazy. Where are all those fans who were shit talking Matt Barzal's inability to score? Well, he's got an assist a game and a point per game pace, but he's not playing as well as he should. And this has been a period where we have been thoroughly dominated. We're being outshot 11-4. We found a way to have one squeak in, but I'm way behind you, Grumpy, at the moment. But that's yikes.
Terrible. But that's what Matt Barzal can do, right? And here's Casey. Get him the puck right back. You know who was not involved? My gosh, the goalie, terrible. Martin Jones, he sucks.
Oof.
He lifted up the leg just to let the goal in. That's what he did. Good job, Marty.
Martin Jones.
I mean, but what? I don't know. I forgot my point.
What, did you forget your point as you were talking about something else?
That's what I just said. I forgot my point. I watched Marty Jones inexcusably lift his leg up to let the puck go through.
And flabbergasted the grumpy old man.
Here's what I want to say. Where was Josh Bailey on that play? Nowhere to be freaking seen.
Yes, but Matt Barzal quietly has stormed his way till 9 goals on a season.
Yeah.
Technically on path to hit 20 goals this year.
He'll make it. Or he'll get close.
He'll
be our leading scorer.
He's taken leaps and bounds regarding his play. Ooh, that was a borderline trip. But he's taken leaps and bounds regarding his game, regarding his play, his leadership on and off the ice. You got to love what you've seen with Matt Barzal. Gets a big contract, steps up, and does what he's supposed to do.
It's funny. Whenever I see Fashing number 20, I still think Kiefer Bellows.
I do too, but he moves way too quick to be Kiefer Bellows. You know what I mean? Bellows was a slower guy. We like Bellows, but man, oh man, he's slow. He's a little slower. I mean, Sorokin's played well over this time period. Varlamov, hopefully nearing a return sometime soon. We'll be able to hopefully lighten some of the load where it's not like we're going to have to go 10 games or 12 games with Sorokin in that every single opportunity.
Okay. I don't think it has any bearing at all if Varlamov comes back. None.
He's still sticking by that point. That's fine.
Yes, still. He's a backup. He's a backup goalie. Whoop-de-doo.
Oh man. Let's get to the comments as we're doing the show too, Grumpy, so we could stay somewhat current on today's show. Cool. Frank saying, looking sluggish. Too much Bailey's Irish coffee, Grumpy.
I don't think Frank is incorrect there.
Apex Legends says here, Leah Hextall is nauseating, so cringy. I'd rather listen to the grumpy old man and TJ. Stop. I'm reading a comment. Matthew S. says here, I don't know why you guys are doing a show today on a Sunday during the game.
Talk to TJ.
We couldn't do one yesterday, so here we are today, Grump. What do you mean, talk to TJ? And Doug reviews music, Grumpy.
Yes. You just said you're reading the comments. Read them.
I was reading that specific comment, Grumpy, because I know how you can get easily carried away. So I had to read that one to take your creative juices away. I'm sorry on that one comment, but continue, Grumpy. You can go and read some too. Come on.
So you think stripping me of my creative juices is the way this show should go? Is that what you really think? You think we should let you drone on incessantly on nonsense? Not knowing anything, but you want to take away the creative element of this podcast.
I
The
want to
entertaining portion of the podcast, you want to strip the podcast of that ability. Is that correct?
I want to strip you of the ability to go down a rabbit hole and take possibly a conversation where it doesn't need to go, because I know you can do that very easily.
Yeah. So what? What are you the censor? What are you, the entertainment police now?
Maybe you should remember talks we've had before in the past. I don't know why you're doing that. Drew reviews music, Grumpy. Go ahead and read that comment, please.
I will read the comment like you read the last one. 75% rate of championship. Can't be mad. Okay, there you go.
I read everything and I included the substance, but I see you're just making a mockery of it. But anyway, he says, dang, bad luck today. Got the double second place whammy in fantasy. At least I still have a 75% rate of getting the championship. Oh, I can't be so mad. Well, Drew, I hope you get it there. Matthew S. says here, yeah, either is yesterday or not at all for the show. And New Regime has done a great job for the New York Giants.
Very true.
By the way, first period ends at a 1-1 tie. John Smith said, thank God you guys are on. Listening to Leah Hextall call the game is excruciatingly painful.
It's worse than that, actually.
Gungan says, are you both chaps proud of the Jets as I am?
All I have to say about the Jets is anyone who thought that Mike White was the answer, well, you saw today why he's not.
Mike White.
And no, the Jets should have made the playoffs this year, but they do Jets things, losing twice to New England, games they should have absolutely won, coming out laying an egg today against Seattle. All they had to do was win out. And they'd make the playoffs. They couldn't do that.
The first issue they had, number one, was removing Zach Wilson as starting quarterback. That's the issue. Grumpy, can you please fix your shirt or your mic? Thank you. But like that's the first issue I think that they had, is they took all the confidence out. They changed everything up on the fly. They're winning games, but they determined, hey, we've got to go ahead and change things up. And then we got to go ahead and we got to demote Zach Wilson, not the backup, but to third string. Well, I mean, you're looking at coaching decision and player personnel decisions. You could point the finger directly at Saleh for this collapse. That's the issue in reality. You cannot jostle around quarterbacks because Zach Wilson's done. Zach Wilson probably had a portion of the room that believed in him. You go ahead and switch it up with Mike White, then you switch it up with Joe Flacco. Yeah. Tough to know the direction of the team and tough for the players back there to still have the same support for it. I just thought it was poor management of assets.
I just want to say one thing. He started 22 games, I believe, for the Jets in 2 years. You're writing off a number 2 overall draft pick. Right? He was number 2. Is that correct?
I thought he was 4. Let me see here.
I think he was number 2. But you're writing off a draft pick that high, not even 2 years into his career. You're writing him off.
Yeah, number 2 overall.
I don't understand that.
Maybe there's things behind the scenes.
Maybe there's something behind the scenes we don't know, but he's a young man. He has talent, and he has a certain thing you just can't teach. I said all year he needs a real legitimate, good quarterbacks coach. He does not have one. That's the issue with Zach. Someone is going to get a steal with him. I'm just interested where he goes in the offseason. Some team will pick him up.
Some guys, it takes more than 2 years to be lighting the world on fire. Just as simple as that. Especially a quarterback who is going to be as raw as Zach Wilson was from BYU. True. So, yikes. I think Saleh's got to go. You don't... You're going to go ahead. He's got to go. I'm sorry. Nick D said, wow, this is a great surprise. Happy New Year, TJ. Happy New Year, Grumpy. I am so glad you guys are on. I have to go through the torture of listening to Leah Hextall. FML.
What's FML stand for?
My life, Grumpy. F my life.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay. I don't know all those things.
Matthew S. is also leaving F's in the chat. Andrew L. said both games yesterday were absolutely zero defense and officiating was poor. That was not championship football. In other words, F Michigan, go Sparty. Yeah, I'll tell you, they missed some blatant targeting calls that I think changed the outcomes of games. Just
I
right there.
think the NCAA accomplished exactly what they wanted to accomplish by having 2 games go right down to the wire. That's what they want. They want it to be like the NFL playoffs. They want people watching, and I think they accomplished that.
And John Smith said the boys are getting outworked again. Same old story. And this may be a situation where we get outworked for period 1 and period 2, and we come in period 3 and have a fantastic period, maybe down a goal or 2, and we storm back and score 3 in the third in order to win a game. That's kind of like the MO of the team. So would it shock me if something like that were to recur? Not at all, Grump.
I think the Islanders going into the second period tied 1-1 is a victory for the Islanders.
I think so too. It's like if you're playing a football game and you get dominated. Another team's got 300 yards of offense. Maybe you've got 50, and it's a 7-7 tie going into halftime. That's a fantastic situation. We were the lesser of 2 teams tonight, or the lesser of 2 teams for the first period. I'm sorry. And I hope we rebound in the second.
Matt Barzal has 100 goals in 400 games in his career. That's like an average of 20 a year, right? 20 a year, right?
No, about like 16, 17. We play 82 game season. He's averaging about
okay. So let's go 400 times 2 is 800, right? Let's say that's 10 years.
Okay.
It's 20 goals a season over the 800 games if you do the division.
He's got 400 games played. He's
a goal every 4 games.
Correct.
How many times is 4 going to 82? Or how many times is 4 going to 80?
It's just
20.
He's never hit 20 goals though, Grump. He's never hit 20 goals.
I guess, but he hasn't played that many complete seasons, I guess, right?
Well, they had the COVID, you had shortened seasons and everything like that. But still, he's not okay. He's not a goal scorer. That's not who Matt Barzal is. And I guess that's what I'm trying to convey.
I guess you'd have to say it's surprising, though, right? That you figured a guy who doesn't – people get on him for not scoring goals. He's got 100 and 400 games.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. D-Cut says, lame Lambert does not have this team ready.
I just don't know why we come out flat against a team that's – I mean, I realize they're better this year, but they're practically an expansion team.
Expansion teams, albeit expansion teams are better now than they were in the past, though, you would admit, right?
Yeah, but they're not upper echelon. This is not an upper echelon squad. We were dominated by them. It looks familiar. I mean, that's what we saw last year, right? We saw it earlier this year. Same thing.
It was right around this time period last year where the Islanders were shut out at home to the Seattle Kraken for their first ever shutout in franchise history.
And the way they play defense, I'm stunned they get any shutouts.
Nick D says the Islanders are partying too much in Times Square. That's why they're playing like dog shit. Well, they were partying too much. It must have been in Seattle.
True. That's what I was going to say.
D-Cut says, by the way, the ballerina is so bad at faceoffs, they have to move our 4th line center on the first line. Here's the thing. You can lose the freaking faceoff. It is such a minute portion of your game. Such a minute portion of your game. Manny Malhotra was the best face-off guy in all of hockey. Great. He's a 4th liner. He was a bottom 6 guy in Vancouver on those really good teams. They didn't have to say, Manny, we're worried about. And sometimes he was out there to take the draw. And as soon as he won the draw, he skated immediately to the bench. We're taking shifts out there with Casey Cizikas and Josh Bailey. Tells you all you need to know about what the thought process is of the team. God almighty. Yikes. And Matt Barzal does need to get better in the face-off dot. I'm not trying to excuse him of that, inadequacy in his game. When you agree, Grumpy, that's something he's got to focus on this offseason.
I could care less about face-offs. You can have somebody else take a face-off. It doesn't matter.
What would you put as, hey, this is what he needs to practice in the offseason?
Getting better teammates. Getting a new general manager. That's what he needs to politic for a new GM.
Oh, God.
That's what he needs to do. Got rid of the coach. That was a step in the right direction. Now, if they could unload the general manager, we'd really be cooking with gas. Need better players. I mean, could you imagine what he did? Look who he's playing with. Bailey and Cizikas, and he's still scoring goals, still putting up points. You know who's not putting up points recently? That's right. Unless there's an empty net situation, Croc Nelson. That's right. Your buddy Croc.
I like Croc. But, you know, it's just crazy how quick, right? How quick opinion can change. If Matt Barzal ends the season with 20 goals, let's say, and 60 or 70 assists, people are going to be saying, Matt Barzal is amazing. The same exact people who were just throwing stones at this young man earlier on this season because he had 0 goals. Matt Barzal can't score. He can't do anything.
Now, I do believe that was our friend D-Cut.
Not just him.
Well, I'm just saying D-Cut was pretty vocal about that. He is one of the leaders of Isles Misery Rated R. I want to give them a shout out.
Yeah.
That fantastic Facebook group, Isles Misery Rated R. Become a member.
What do you have to do?
An honorary member.
What do you have to do to become a member, Grumpy?
Just don't be TJ.
Ah, there it is. That will do it for you.
Don't be a boot-licking weasel like TJ, a company cow.
That's tough. That's tough for a lot of people to do, but they'll have to try. But yes, you can go on Facebook and find them. Nick D said, I'd rather listen to that Brewers announcer right now than this garbage Leah Hextall.
Bruins.
So
Not Brewers. Bruins.
He said Bruins.
Said Brewers.
Okay, sure. When Grumpy said it's painful, I felt that. Talking about Drew. Andrew L said, I take a 1-0 loss to never hear her cold call again. Oh, good gracious.
She sounds like a squawk box.
Some people do a great job at announcing. Some people who could be all-time greats are shitty in that. Like Wayne Gretzky. He sucks as an announcer. Great player.
Announcer. He's not an announcer.
Even an in-between analyst. He sucks at that job too. He sucks at anything he's done in the media sphere. He does not have a big enough personality and a personality enough to make him noticeable and he pales in comparison to what he did on the ice and what he's done as any sort of media.
Agreed.
So it's like Wayne Gretzky, I know he works. He's with ESPN too. Wayne Gretzky should not be in that role.
He's with TNT, right?
TNT. I remember he did a little bit for ESPN, TNT, whatever. It's the same thing. I don't like listening to him talk about that because he's very vanilla, bland. And just like he doesn't feel comfortable. He's
getting a little better, particularly when Bissonnette is on there, where he can say the things that he's done and Bissonnette's done nothing. Those type of interactions I think are pretty good.
So you're right. He's the Josh Bailey of the announcing crew.
But he was Here's the thing. Wayne Gretzky was not hired because of his talent as an analyst. He wasn't. He was hired because he's Wayne Gretzky. That's why he was hired.
Trust me. I
Leah Hextall was hired because she's Ron Hextall's niece. That's why she was hired.
Yeah, just like Wayne Gretzky, or Wayne Gretzky was hired because he's Wayne Gretzky. I'm just saying there are more talented people for jobs sometimes because they don't get it because of the name that comes on the name that comes at their, the name and the amount of eyeballs that come to it. Everybody knows Wayne Gretzky, even if you're not a hockey fan. Anyway, moving along. John Smith saying, Jesus Christ, our power play sucks. Oof.
True.
Goon says, on tonight's ESPN broadcast, we can enjoy 2 names linked with the Islanders' horrific 1994 playoff fiasco, Hextall and Ray Ferraro. Oof.
Hextall and Ferraro.
D-Cut says, TJ's New Year's resolution should be to actually read comments from the great members of Isles Misery Rated R.
And that's why I make sure I single them out because they're very loyal to us, very loyal listeners. So I'd like to give them a shout out. TJ, he doesn't like to do that so much.
Grumpy, I did want to bring this up because one of the listeners, one of the friends of their show, one of the friends of our show, great author, Grumpy Old Man, author of Islanders content, author of Jets content, author of Giants content, author of music content, Greg Prado. Look at this. Look what he got underneath the Christmas tree this year, Grumpy. Just take a look, see at that. Do you see Greg has elevated himself into Giga Chad territory, Grumpy? Do you see what he is wearing on his shirt, Grump?
I hazard to say that that's the best that Greg has ever looked.
Look at that. It's a Grumpy's Groupie shirt.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was too busy looking at the shirt.
Oh, there's. But Greg Prado, look at that. He's looking fly. He's looking slick, and he does a great job with a pen and paper. I guess a typewriter or a computer and paper. Great author, Grumpy, and he's got great taste with the Islanders Never Say Die merchandise of
Very
Grumpy's
true.
Groupies.
Very true.
Never look better, Greg. Thank you so much always for the support. Never look better. Anyway, getting back to some more comments here. Frank K said, have the Islanders shown up yet? I think the first period we didn't show up at all. Would you agree?
They have the little intermission. You know what? There's Bailey slurping off Matt Barzell right next to him, sitting right next to him. Hey, Matty B.
There's Zach Parise right next to him too.
Yeah, let me tell you something. Little kiss asses.
Oh, stop. Oh, the intermission report, Grumpy. Honestly, you know a guy who I think who needs to continue to get more and more national coverage? I think Weeks does a great job. I think he does a great job with what his role is.
Yeah, I like Kevin Weeks. He's good.
So, I don't know. But like a certain player.
He doesn't strike me as a guy who wants to hit the road, though. He's happy doing NHL Network. I mean, you get to stay at home all the time. I don't know if he's got a family, but if you do, it's got to be dead. And he's not old, so if he does have a family, I'm really going out on a limb here. If he does have a family, I'm assuming that they're probably younger, and it's better. Maybe he feels if he does that it's better to stay closer to home. He does not travel a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll tell you, it is a cushy gig. It's a cushy gig nonetheless. And Drew says here, my New Year's resolution is to have Grumpy make another envelope and to keep it secret from the podcast until his prediction comes right.
No envelopes this year. I've made my legitimate prediction for the Islanders.
Jack Wolstoon. What is up, Jack W. from the UK, Grumpy? He says, Happy New Year, guys. From across the pond, back at UBS. In February versus the Penguins.
All right. Exciting. Good for you, Jack.
Back to New York. Headed back. He's headed back from, I think it's England, Grumpy. I think he's from England. I can't remember what part, but he's from England, Grumpy.
I'm going to take your word for it.
D-Cut with the famous fire TJ hire D-Cut, as we have seen multiple times. Why not just hire everybody, TJ? We don't have the payroll. Andrew M says, Happy New Year.
It's Angelo. It's Angelo.
I'm sorry, Angelo. If I can read names, I'd be like, look at this. Sal P, Giga Chad as well, with the Matty and the Jag shirt, Grumpy. Matty and the Jags. He's got the Matty and the Jag shirt on from the Islanders Never Say Die merchandise store. Sal P, Sal Portelli, Grumpy, the Giga Chad himself. He says, good evening, fellas. Our boys look terrible out of the gate tonight. We're getting dominated by the Kraken in the first period. Absolutely.
True. But on the positive side, it's 1-1.
Yep.
So,
that's the only positive I've got.
Yeah.
Put Curtis says, what up, boys? What's up, Pony Boy Curtis? How are you? Nick C says ESPN needs to get better announcers. I think they need to get better announcers across the board. I know Ray Ferraro was hired just because he's Ray Ferraro and the name comes with him. But it's just like,
I don't think Ray Ferraro's name is as big as you think it is.
Ray Ferraro and Eddie Olchuk. I mean, like those are like if I'm thinking announcer, big name announcer, those are the guys.
Well, but they are announcers. I mean, it's not like Gretzky was hired for his name. Ferraro wasn't hired for his name. Neither was Olchuk. They were guys who've been doing it for a long time. There's a difference.
D-Cut says rookie coach not having his team ready to play against a team who got the doors blown off of them the other day by Edmonton.
You knew that Seattle would good point, D-Cut. You knew that Seattle was going to come out and play hard to play this game after the way they got rolled by Edmonton the other night. Absolutely. I think I even mentioned that to you when you were in town, TJ. I said, watch out for Seattle on Sunday. You know they're going to come out to play hard. And they did today. They did. But Sorokin was up to the task. And then we got a kind of I won't say not deserved, but a slick move by Barzal, and Jones was just, he blew it in that.
Yeah. I mean, my God, it was not a good shot. I'm watching that again, that replay. Oof. That kind of like flubs off his stick. I don't think that was intended by Matt Barzal to go there either. He probably wanted to put that higher, but kind of
No, I think he did exactly what he wanted to do. Maybe they say, hey, when you do a little lateral movement on Jones, he lifts the pad. Maybe it's a scouting report on him, because that's exactly what it looked like to me.
Matthew S says playing like dead fish. Nick C said, I don't want to be on the power play anymore. We give up more opportunities shorthanded than we get shots on the power play. Yeah, we've given up a lot of shorthanded opportunities and goals this season.
I'm going to say that we do not give up more shorthanded opportunities and shots on goal, though.
We do give up a lot more than we have in the past.
I'll go with that, yes.
James F says, looks like we're going to get out hustled here in the game tonight, and my Raiders are officially out of the playoffs.
They had a shot today. They had a shot today against the 49ers. I thought Jared Stidham actually looked pretty good today. Couple of things didn't go their way, and San Francisco is just a better team, but I thought the Raiders played much better than they have in recent times, and bye-bye Derek Carr.
Dika says, TJ's a ball-headed jerk. That's me. James F said, need more shots on goal tonight, guys. We certainly do. We've got to generate more offense.
Now, the Islanders start the second period off with a power play, so we'll see how that pans out for them.
Can we go 1 for 30 over our last 10 games? Frank Hayes said the Islanders were doing some of that Seattle heroin. Oh, God. Oh, no. But the Islanders do start off on the power play. Hopefully we can generate some momentum, get a few shots on that, but Seattle does a good job with an early clear, Grumpy. Gungun says, Grumpy, what were some lessons you learned from the classic 1983 film, Mr. Mom?
That was the, look at this. What a sensational save by Sorokin on a breakaway. Jeez. Short-handed breakaway.
Do you see what I mean, though? Like, okay, you're watching how this transpires. What the who the oh my God, that's Dobson at the point. I mean, my God, got to do better than holy shit. And that's one of those where Sorokin looks like he's falling backwards. That is an unbelievable save, is right. Keeping us in the game single-handedly is Sorokin.
Yes, exactly.
We play the game of what would happen if we had the other goalie. If Martin Jones was on our team right now, we'd be down 3-1, 3-0 maybe.
True. Let's get back to this important comment from Goon. Mr. Mom, which was the star was Michael Keaton and Terry Garr were the two stars in that movie. There was a vacuum cleaner in there. And I remember at the time, it made that vacuum, it like kind of went on its own. It was so powerful that it could just go in a direction all by itself. You didn't have to push it. But I forgot the name. It's been quite a while since I've seen that movie. But that's a lesson to be learned. And also, the All-American Tuna Company is something that you should also remember.
So there's a Mr. Mom vacuum cleaner, Grumpy?
There was a vacuum cleaner that in Mr. Mom. I don't remember the brand, but it was popular before then, but it really took off because of its placement in that movie. I don't remember the name. It wasn't Hoover, I don't think. It was something else.
I don't know. I'll try to get pulled up for you, Grumpy. Vacuum land. I don't know. It's a Kirby. Kirby vacuum. Does that sound about right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. A Kirby vacuum well predates me. And
most things too.
Drew L says here, and the Lowell Finns lost to Mac Jones. They're finished.
The Dolphins, all they had to do was win today. All they had to do. Teddy Bridgewater comes in because Noodles, a.k.a. Tua Tagovailoa, Ye of the weak arm. They determined he had a concussion, not by any symptoms, just by watching game film the next day. They determined he had a concussion. Maybe he's just a shitty quarterback. I mean, that's a possibility too. Dolphins are in real trouble. And I'm not just talking about their season where they've lost 5 in a row now. You don't have a quarterback. That's the way I look at it. You don't have a quarterback. Not someone you can trust. Not someone you can depend on. They need another quarterback.
Matthew S. says, Barzy with a goal. Go, Matt Barzal. D-Cut says, the ballerina scores. Andrew L. saying, as you're talking shit, about that line, it scores. That's why I love this show. Amazing. Hey, we do what we can. But again, it wasn't a really talented, and it wasn't like he got amazing help from Casey Zizekas or
It was a nice
fantastic play
pass.
by Josh Bailey.
It was
Okay.
a nice pass by Case. He got the puck, give and go. He got it from Barzal. Barzal skate. He got it right back to him. That's what you should do.
A nice pass by Zizekas is what James F says here. Bailey pretended or patented secondary assist at the red line. Jesus.
He didn't even. It went to Barzal, to Zizekas, to Barzal. So if they gave a secondary assist to Josh Bailey, that's just typical of him.
Seattle Kraken are struggling as much as us on the power play. 1 for the last 28 is what it says. Last power play goal didn't come till December 11th against Florida. The Seattle Kraken are on the power play, Grump.
Well, that's impressive then. What can I tell you? They're having trouble entering the zone. They're terrible.
Yes, they are. I'll tell you, the Islanders are making easy work of it, dumping out of the zone. Islanders are 8th in the NHL in penalty kill. By the way, you'll be interested to know the Islanders are number 1 in the NHL at home ice penalty kills. So much better on home than on the road.
Must be something in the water.
I guess. And Seattle dumps the puck out of their own zone, or dumps the puck out of the offensive zone. They're going to try to reestablish something here.
2-1.
Who scored, Grumpy? Why don't you tell us?
The bad guys.
The bad guys, the Seattle Kraken. So they score a power play goal.
Yep. Once again, DJ talking shit about their power play, and they score a goal. First, you talk shit about the Casey Zizekas line, bam, goal. Why don't you talk shit about Brock Nelson? I'd like to hear that.
That's a hell of a shot, too. That's a one-time slap shot, top shelf, right over the glove shoulder of Sorokin. Nothing you can do there. You know, that's what ESPN posted up. I just figured to let all the listeners know. Aatu Ratu took the penalty for tripping, and the Islanders concede a power play goal to the Seattle Kraken. They're down now 2-1 early in the second period.
4 minutes in.
Oh, God, you're drinking again. Okay. I don't know what you're doing when you do that. Anyway, Chubby Cheese 69 says, why the hell did we leave Jordan Eberle off the protected list over all the other oafs? He's much better than Palmieri and Bailey. Another genius move by Lou.
Bailey was unprotected. Palmieri, I don't think, had a contract at the time. I mean, I forget who the protected list was.
I don't think, he didn't have a contract at the time. That's exactly what it was. He wasn't on our team, I believe, at that time period. But we left both Josh Bailey and Eberle unprotected. We protected guys like Matt Martin.
Yeah.
We protected shitty fourth liners like that over Jordan Eberle. But we didn't have they had to take one or two, and they, I guess, were worried if they left Matt Martin available, they would have taken the lesser cap hit of Matt Martin, and we would have been hamstrung with both Jordan Eberle and Josh Bailey's contract.
That I tell you, I'm just eyeballing this game. It's like, I don't know what we're doing. We look terrible today, and that's concerning to me. I mean, I could see, okay, you're going to get beat by the good teams, or good teams you're going to struggle against them potentially, but you should never struggle against bad teams. I'm sorry.
This is a good team.
They're not a good team. They're an average team. They're an average team.
Their record indicates they're a good team. That's fine.
They're an average team.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, like, you look at the Seattle Kraken. Oh, well, never mind. Hold on. The Seattle Kraken have slipped off in the last 10. They're 3-6-1. But the Kraken this year are 18-12-4. So I wouldn't put them as an average team. They're better record than us.
Oh, well, what does it say about us?
I don't think that's my point. Right? When people are like singing from the rooftops about how fantastic of a season we've had. Well, I guess no, the Islanders are 21-14-2. So, I mean, like,
comparable.
I think it's comparable on both sides. The Seattle Kraken are like 3-6-1 over the last 10, which hasn't helped. But I haven't looked at the standings in the Western Conference or the West Coast. I don't look at the West Coast too often. But yeah, they unfortunately left Bailey and Jordan Eberle. Hindsight being 2020, I would have been happy giving up like a second round pick or a third round pick to say, take Josh Bailey and leave us Jordan Eberle.
But Jordan Eberle what's the difference? At that time, you were just looking to get rid of salary. That's all you were looking to do.
Did you ask what's the difference between Jordan Eberle and Josh Bailey?
Remember what the goal was. Oh my gosh, another turnover. And just, who was that? Mayfield and Aho. Oh my gosh. What was the goal for the expansion draft? The last
The
expansion
goal
draft?
was to shed cap.
It was to shed cap. So the fact that they took Eberle, it doesn't matter. He was 5.5. Bailey was 5. That was what they wanted. They wanted to shed $5 million.
What I'm saying is, wouldn't it be nice if they would have packaged up a pick to say, we want you to pick Bailey over Eberle. Here's the pick to make you do that. Here's the pick to convince you.
So you wanted to trade one of the few draft picks that we ever have to say that they'll take Josh Bailey. Like again, the all they want to do is shed cap. They didn't care who left. They wanted to shed cap. I'm not giving.
Now that I'm thinking of it, I think we did have Palmieri signed. Can't remember if we had Palmieri signed at the time period, if we had a protect him or not. But yeah, I would have rather 2 less years with Josh Bailey.
It was announced at the time. The expansion draft was before the regular draft and before free agency.
Fashing, by the way, had a chance in close on Jones and couldn't get a shot on that. But Fashing creates, man. He's not afraid. Fashing is exactly what you want to have a fourth liner. He has got energy. He's still young enough where he's got tread on the tires. I love what I see from him. And that's a guy where, if there weren't massive amounts of injury, Fashing would have been in the AHL the entire season. Wasn't the first guy for the call up either, Fashing.
No. That's one thing. But here's the thing. It's changed a little bit this year. Fashing never would have gotten a shot. Certainly not the type of shot he's getting now. I'm interested to see what happens when you have a healthy
Casey Cizikas,
Kyle Palmieri, Cal Clutterbuck. Clutterbuck's skating now as well. So when these guys are healthy, who's going to go down? Who's going to sit? Is Casper Holmstrom, is he going to automatically get a spot when he gets healthy? I don't know. Is Oliver Wahlstrom going to be the odd man out?
Wow. Yikes. If that's the case, yikes, Grump. That's all I have to say. Yikes, if that was the case. We're continuing here through. Frank K said Sorokin is why it's a 1-to-1. Absolutely. And James F says here, this Leah Hextall's horrible. Get her off. That kind of seems, we'll stop with those comments, but we get a lot of those to where, again, not just the Islanders fan base, hockey fans in general do not like Leah Hextall. She's just a nepotism hire. And Drew says, effing TV off, guys.
This is a watch-along game. Kind of.
D-Cut says, maybe next season a ballerina that makes $9.1 million. He can get his face-offs up to 40%. Look at this. D-Cut just moves the field goal post. Original was maybe he could score some goals. Now it's maybe he can have a little bit better of a or maybe have better of a face-off percentage. And then we're going to slowly move to, well, maybe he'll have more slap shots registered over 100 miles an hour because he doesn't do a lot of those.
D-Cut has true animus towards Matt Barzal. I
think that's an understatement. And James F. said, I'm glad you guys are doing a show now during the game. We can watch it together. Absolutely. Absolutely. Drew said, TJ asserting his dominance. No. Gungun says, Grumpy, have you ever worn a cowboy hat and cowboy boots?
Never been a cowboy hat guy. I did have a pair of cowboy boots going way, way, way back, but it's been a long time.
Did this predate me? Because I don't remember you ever having
absolutely predated you.
My gosh. The only time I ever would have thought you maybe if you went to the rodeo, you'd have a cowboy hat, but that was it.
Well, considering I never interviewed for the rodeo, it was not for
that. Matthew S. says, well, Zach Wilson certainly wasn't, but the same old Jets.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to go too much into that today. I think I already spoke my piece on Zach Wilson.
Nick C. says the Devils lost again. They're really coming back down to earth hard.
They did get the loser point, though, which is an advantage for them.
I think, right, even though they've struggled as much as they have, for the last 10 games, Devils are 2-6-2. Not good.
No.
Over the last 10. Think about this. They're 2-6-2 over the last 10. That being said, they still have a plus 27 goal differential.
And 5 points advantage on us.
Correct. And they'll have a game in hand on us, too, after tonight.
Yeah.
So you lose right there.
The Carolina's had a point in 17 straight games.
And they're on an 11-game winning streak.
They're good. They're really good.
Yeah.
We're never beating Carolina, ever.
The Capitals, just like I told you guys, they're not a paper tiger. What, Grump?
Yeah, I'm just sighing at your point.
Oh, yeah. Islanders back on the penalty kill again. Sebastian Aho headed to the box. But yeah, the Capitals are only going to get healthier. That's something that scares me. They're not a team that's going to go away. I worry about the Penguins. The Rangers have been playing pretty good, pretty solid hockey. Think about that. I'll pop it up on screen. The Islanders' opponents have been playing well as of recent games and recent time. So even though we have a pretty decent record, right? We're coming away with points, right? We have points we have points in we've got points in 7 in our last 10 games. But yet we still slip in the standings solely because the teams around us are really playing great hockey. It's that simple. Look at last. The Penguins have struggled. They've lost, 4 of their 4. They've lost 4 in a row. They're still ahead of us at this time period. They'll have 2 games in hand on us after tonight. So, one of those things you look at and you say, well, crap, you really wish you could have made up some ground on these guys, but got to hang in there, I guess. D-Cut says, this is a hockey podcast, TJ. Ignore the football comments till Thursday. I don't know. And Puttiger says, why are you guys talking about Zach Wilson, dude? It's an Islanders game on right now.
Sorokin just made 2 or 3 sensational saves, point blank.
I'm telling you, ridiculous close range saves. Doing a great job keeping us in the game. It's as simple as that.
I don't know how on a power play they have 2 guys near the goalie, and I don't know where our defense team was. Not where they need to be. Oh, it's Romanoff. Well, you got to expect him not to be in position, I guess.
Yeah, I was about to say, positionally, he still suffers. He still struggles.
Oh, my God. The first save was sensational. The second one, he got the puck up, and Sorokin gets the leg up to make the save. Sensational.
He's fantastic. He's the only thing that keeps us in these games.
Yes.
It's that simple.
I just want to make one point about, the other teams playing really well. The Eastern Conference is really tough.
Yes.
I mean, certainly it's top heavy. It's like 9 teams deep, and it's who's going to be the last guy, musical chairs, who's the last guy without a chair. That's what it comes down to.
Jesus. Yeah. That last one where you kick that leg up to make a save is nuts.
Yeah.
I think it could be 9, possibly 10 teams deep.
Yeah. Maybe.
I just think I could see Detroit or Buffalo finding a way to catch a hot streak. I really could.
Who? Detroit?
Buffalo or Detroit.
Forget Detroit. And forget Buffalo. Buffalo doesn't have a goaltender.
They're 8-1-1 in their last 10 games.
Yeah.
They're a team that's young. They're a team that has pieces. They played well towards the tail end last year. They're a team that's 18-14-2 so far this year. I'm just saying that team that's young continues to get better as the year goes on.
Our lack of team speed is evident against Seattle. I mean, Ron Hextall has done a nice job getting a team that has some pace to it. That's the modern day NHL, right?
Yeah.
We talk about it 100 times. This is not Lou Lamoriello. This isn't your dad or your granddad's NHL. This is a different game.
Puddinker says, I went to a New Year's Eve sobriety powwow, Native American sobriety event. They took my whole treatment center. I'm at a Native American based place. And I was able to get into because I'm a quarter Native. So it was good to get back in touch with my Native roots.
Very good.
It's great to hear.
And keep up the hard work, Pony Boy.
Absolutely. And Drew says here, who does have a good quarterback coach? The New York Football Giants.
There you go. That's all it takes.
Grump, the visible extension cord behind you is hideous. Yeah.
There it is.
John Smith says, ugh, football talk.
Another break. Wow.
John Smith said he'd rather listen to Leah Hextall than us talk.
Oh, wow.
Let us know how you really feel, John. Goon says, Grumpy, have you ever worn leather chaps and a biker biker cap?
No, I was not one of the village people, so the answer is no to that question.
Salah going to make Stetson Bennett their new franchise quarterback next season after drafting him in the 6th round. Oh, God.
No. Stetson Bennett's career ends next Monday.
Whatever Curtis says here, yeah, Leah Hextall's horrific. She's the only one who can make Connor McDavid unwatchable. Yeah, it just seems to see nobody likes Leah Hextall. Yep, and then Nick's also echoing in saying, yeah, commentary is horrendous.
Yeah.
TJ, stop minimizing face-offs, says Pony Boy. I just hate when that's been like put at the penultimate where it's like that's so unbelievably
Oh
important.
my God, another sensation. Look at this. We're terrible today. If I'm Lane Lambert, I'm calling timeout right now.
Parker Wotherspoon just gets freaking walked around, just split the defense. Ugh.
Gets the leg up. Oh my God, sensational. Just sensational. 3 saves in that sequence. They need a timeout. He needs to rip into, hey, if I could send you all down, I would. Frustrating.
God.
Frustrating. Oof. But we're
frustrating for the fans too. We're being outshot right now. We're being outshot more than 2-1 by the Seattle Kraken. I mean, yikes. And again, they just got reamed by the Edmonton Oilers. You had to know they're going to be playing better hockey tonight. When they get their ass lit up by the Oilers, they're a young team, right? Or younger team. They're going to have jump and energy the next game. You got to be prepared for that.
Yes, agreed.
We're being beat to loose pucks, opportunities. Just, my gosh, it's hard to watch. Maybe
did you
want to have our number?
Did you want to do the ad read now?
We can do that. Did a commercial?
Well, yeah. They have been in commercial for a little while.
Okay, I'm behind you by a good bit. For whatever reason, my phone's having issues pulling up the game, so I'm like kind of getting little bits and pieces. Today's podcast is brought to you by DraftKings. Hockey fans light the lamp this winter with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. New customers can bet just $5 pregame money line on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. And if that wasn't enough excitement, you can turn small bets into even bigger payouts with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets like which team will win, how many goals will be scored for your shot, and an even bigger payout. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code THPN and bet $5. I'm sorry, $5 on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code THPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See the show notes in the description for additional details.
Oh, there you go, TJ. Nice job.
There it is. Matthew is saying D-Cut taking L's on Matt Barzal, and most importantly, take it deep. That's what he says here. Grumpy Alexander.
Very sloppy to start the game, but they did pick it up towards the end of the period. It was a nice pass from Zizekas. Very accurate assessment, Alexander.
D-Cut says Brock has 4 points in his last 3 games. Take it deep, Grumpy. Oh, God.
How many empty net points?
Quite a few.
He's pretty good at that.
Amar Production says thankful for Zizekas after that first period, or Sorokin after that first period.
Yes.
Ooh,
it was all Sorokin in that period, and really pretty much the second period as well.
Pony McCurdy says Atu Ratu ceiling is Brock Nelson 2.0.
He's a better skater, and I think he has better hockey sense than Brock Nelson. I think Atu Ratu is better than Brock Nelson at the end of the day.
Alexander also sharing the same thing, same sentiment about Lee Hextall. Pony McCurdy says Brock Nelson is good, Grumpy, but he's a little soft. I'll give you that.
Very soft.
M. Nick says the fantasy football champ is here. There he is, Grumpy. The fantasy champ is here. Oh God. I'll just pop that on.
Congratulations,
Frank. Elias got a good porn voice, is what he says. Potiver Curtis says one cool thing about Ovechkin, his hits are nearly as impressive as his goals, if not more.
He's a guy who could play in any era. Any era.
Yep. Yeah, that's why you can never count out Washington.
Yeah.
He is, legends like that, first ballot Hall of Famers, change. Oh, my God. Oof. I just got an update on the phone. Islanders have surrendered another goal. Islanders down 3-1 to the Seattle Kraken.
Oh, my God. Casey got knocked on his keister.
Oof.
Oh, I'll tell you what. What did I say Lane Lambert needed to do before? Not 5 minutes ago. Call a timeout.
Tearing to the
dominated. It's almost at the point where here's the thing. Another goal, he should yank Sorokin. They'll come out and play better in the third period. They haven't deserved to win tonight. Frustrating. Just frustrating.
Call a timeout and rip the hell out of the team.
Casey just got beat to a puck and freaking run over by number 22. Oh, he's the guy who scored the goal.
Bjorkstrand.
He started with Bjorkstead. He started with the aggressive forecheck, and he attacks the net and gets the rebound for the goal. What a play. Good for him. I mean, that's what we need, more of that.
That's working hard for your opportunities and fighting hard for your chances.
It's so disappointing considering how well we played against Pittsburgh and Florida.
Yep.
It's just disappointing.
Seattle, by the way, in their last 11 has been 3-7-1. So Seattle has not necessarily been lighting the world on fire.
And they're not good defensively. I mean, we're just like I said, we're a plucky group. We're a spunky group. We're just not a talented group.
My God.
I'm sorry. It's not good enough.
Being outworked, out-hustled, and out-talented tonight.
I'm just so afraid of what's going to happen at the deadline.
As we've talked about, that is worst-case scenario. At the deadline, this maniac Lou, freaking the madman is going to say, well, we're close. We can win the cup. So let's give up a first and more picks.
I mean, God, they're just running us over. Pavillier just got not once, but twice. And we're getting bullied. Oh my gosh.
Where the fuck is
this is a bad game for us. We haven't played this bad in a long time. That's interference. That's interference. Did they not? I guess they didn't call it. That was absolutely interference on Brock Nelson. Absolutely it was. No call.
And Nix5 says the announcer sucks, but let's freaking go Islanders. Hunter says we're so lucky to have Brendan Burke. We absolutely are.
Brendan Burke's a really, really good announcer. A real good, he's not the color guy, but the play-by-play guy. He's really good.
Could you imagine?
I don't know who is what?
Could you imagine him and Potvin?
I think they'd be good together. Brendan Burke. Okay, the color guy is only as good as the play-by-play guy.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because they set the color guy up. I don't know, who's Leah Hextall? Is she with the Kraken all the time?
No, but I do think it's odd that she's going to come. I mean, like she's got to, but it's like her uncle is the general manager of the other team. So it is worth mentioning that too.
Oh my God. We look so bad right now. It's like mites.
Did we get hammered drunk? Did we get hammered drunk last night? Did we not care as professionals about what the task at hand was? Because that's what it looks like. That's the only way I can describe how we look bad news bears bad right now.
They're just picking our pocket left and right. Oh my God. I can't
shot 25-11.
It's not this. It's 26-11 now. I don't even remember the last time we've looked this bad. Honestly, this is a shameful display. I'm at a loss for words. It's terrible. I looked today before the show started, and I'm like, I'm interested to see. I want the breakdowns of what our records are at certain times. With home games, road games. We're like 9-8 on the road. We're really good at home, but we're like 500 on the road. And I'm like, man, we got 4 games on the road coming up. The West Coast swing, where we usually struggle. I thought we beat Seattle, though. After coming off how well we played the last 2 games, I'm like, okay, I feel good about playing Seattle. I mean, I know you thought that Vancouver would beat us. I cannot imagine us losing to Vancouver.
Okay.
Edmonton and Calgary, yeah, I could see those being losses, but not Vancouver. Edmonton's good. Edmonton's going to give us a lot of trouble. This is not Barry Trotz's coach. We can't get in a run and gun game with Edmonton. You get in a run and gun game with Edmonton, you're done.
Yeah. They got a lot more offensive fire.
And Sorokin's given up 3 goals, but he's been sensational tonight.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because his stats suffer, his numbers suffer, but he's been outstanding. He's the only reason we're not down by 5 goals. or we haven't, or maybe even 4 goals. Right? He's the only thing that's been keeping us even remotely close in this game.
He's been tremendous.
Louis C. Grumpy.
That was an effing horrific start. Thank God Zeker had enough sense to feed Barzell the puck. Seattle does not have a defender that can catch Barzell. He's 100% right there. They're weak defensively. We just can't. Here's the thing. They're good getting the puck out of their zone. But if you get any sustained offensive zone time, they struggle.
Well, they're doing a good job of getting out of the zone quick. You know what I mean? So, they're doing
that New York stand thing again. They just showed a recap of that. He didn't, and Ferraro made a great point. He didn't just stand around after that big hit. He circled around and got himself in position for that rebound. I mean, he skated a long way to get that rebound from where the hit was.
Yeah, rather listen to AJ overly Hextall, says Alexander. And Punter says Wayne Gretzky is the Josh Bailey of NHL commentating. Roll on the floor, laughing out loud. True. And I hate Ferraro is what he says. Ray Ferraro was very good with us.
I like Ray Ferraro.
D-Cut says, TJ, the dress code for the Islanders Never Say Die podcast requires sleeves. Well, here's the thing. I was like, I'd rather be somewhat on time for this little pop-up podcast than being even later.
Somewhat on time.
Oh, my God.
Didn't you say that your New Year's resolution was to be on time?
Well, hold on. This is not a normal scheduled thing. This is a special pop-up, Grumpy. It's like an ad hoc podcast. Put Curtis says, who is that drunk-sounding Nimrod who announces for the Rangers? That guy freaking sucks.
I don't know if it's Micheletti is who he's talking about. I don't know who he's talking about.
I like Micheletti. I know his kid. James S says here, I got on my Tommy B Drive for 5 shirt, says James F. Well, there it is. Joseph C says maybe TCU isn't so bad, Grumpy.
No, they are.
They suck.
When they get I'm hesitant to say when they get rolled.
They're gonna get
by
rolled.
Georgia, but when they get rolled by Georgia, you'll be singing a different tune. Here's the thing. Harbaugh has not been great in big games since he's been coach for Michigan. They
threw 2 pick sixes, gave up how many explosive plays based off of broken items, had multiple poorly called. I mean, like that. Yeah, I don't know. Very easily change the outcome of the game.
I'm going to say it again. If a team gets sustained offensive zone time against Seattle, they can do some real damage.
I think they're a very flawed team.
Yeah, they're like I said, they're a second-year expansion team, and they were BA double D bad last year. So, just something to look at going
on that goal really quickly. Romanov goes into the board and collides. For whatever reason, he feels like he's got a hump. He's got to go ahead and hump Cizikas from behind on that 3rd goal that Seattle scores. He wants to follow him like it's like an 8-year-old playing soccer where they all follow the ball instead of playing where you need to be and playing your spot. So it leaves Dobson to cover the guy in front, and the guy who's streaking on the other side gets a wide open opportunity. All because Romanoff well out of position per the usual. That shit's just got to stop.
That's the floor in Romanov at this point in time. Can it get better? Yeah, I would think it can get better. Will it get better? I don't know. It certainly can.
How can it be as bad as it? He's played almost 200 career NHL games.
Well, that's my point. He just isn't. He's just not positionally sound. Right now, we have quite a bit of offensive zone time. I like our skating. Oh, Aho pass was picked off by number 19. I don't know who that is. The referee.
Did you see really quickly? I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish your thought.
That's okay. I was just doing a little play-by-play. That's all.
Okay. Did you see Josh Bailey having a one-timing attempt and he didn't even get a shot on freaking net?
Why would that be? Fashing really, really nice. He's got some ability. I know he's 29 years old, but what does it tell you, right? How many guys fall through the cracks?
Yep.
In the NHL, guys who can actually play, but since they don't have the name or they weren't drafted high or a certain regime doesn't care for them because they have a certain type of player they like, a guy like that slips through the cracks. He's shown he belongs to play in the NHL.
He's played multiple different times and multiple different teams in the NHL. The Buffalo Sabres, the Coyotes. I mean, like he's been up 15, 16 was the earliest time he got his first shake at the NHL. And every other time he's been kind of he's like in baseball, they call him 4A players. Performs well in the AHL, but cannot make the step to the NHL. He gets his chance here, right? He's got more points this year in his NHL action than he's had every other season combined in his NHL career.
I mean, I think it also says something about our lack of talent. Where
Yes.
any streety can come in and look like one of the better players on our team.
Mhm.
I mean,
Frank Hay said, Kevin Weeks' wife just had a baby. Oh, congratulations.
congratulations, Kevin Weeks and his wife.
Punta said, you guys got to get new updated merch. That Bitmoji Barzal is horrible, and the armadillo is gone. Yeah, we got to look into that. Owen J says, Happy New Year's Eve or Happy New Year's. Yep, and Happy New Year's, Jen, says Matthew. Yes, absolutely. Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's. Cameron with the cam says, what are the chances Matt Barzal is leaving for Vancouver, Seattle?
0.
He's already signed his extension. He's not going anywhere. Alexander said, by the way, Happy New Year's to you guys and many blessings. Absolutely. Happy New Year's, everybody.
Yes, same to everyone. We'll touch on that before we sign off tonight, but yes.
Joseph C said, why are you worried about Barzal leaving? He just signed an 8-year deal. Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
Oh my God. Who's out there? Dobson, Fash has a borderline trip. Bailey's out there. Pajot. I guess Bailey's played himself off the first line already tonight. End of 2 periods. Seattle 3, Islanders 1. Honestly, it shouldn't even be this close. That was a shameful display by the Islanders in the second period. The whole game, actually. Lane Lambert needs to tear into these guys. Like I said, for me, there'd be lineup changes next game. I know it's tough with all the injuries, but I'm calling some guys up and I'm sitting some guys. Anders Lee's been and Brock Nelson have been absolutely invisible tonight. Just invisible. That whole line. Bavillier as well. Just that second line's been invisible. I mean, the third line has been invisible. The fourth line, I don't even know who's on it. That's how bad it's been. Terrible. Terrible display. Terrible display.
It's disheartening. I'm really at a loss for words. Because, right, last podcast, man, was it not funny for people who listened? We were actually upbeat. We were cheery. We were happy. Holy crap. We went ahead and took care of business against a bad Florida team. Beat them 5-1 like we should have. We beat the brakes off of the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I mean, dominated them from puck drop until freaking that last whistle or that last horn went off. All 60 minutes. Dominated the Penguins. And then, right, we take care of business against the Blue Jackets like we should.
Yep.
And tonight, we're getting owned, right? We're being outshot 26-12 through 2 periods of action. That's inexcusable, man. 12 shots in your first 2 periods, that's inexcusable.
And we've blocked, I can't tell you how many shots before they even get to the goalie.
Yikes.
The difference between Lane Lambert and his system, and I'm not going to rehash why, and Barry Trotz. With Barry Trotz, we always came out, always, strong word, 98% of the time,
Sure,
came out against a lesser team and absolutely dominated the action and won those games. Not the case under Lane Lambert so far. We've come out flat often against lower level teams. Disappointing to
say the least, Grumpy. Absolutely it is. Cameron the Cam said, we need the management to do everything we can to keep him. No, Cameron, he's not going anywhere. Matt Barzal's here to stay. And Pony Curtis says, TJ's so pathetic. He's never been to the Coliseum. That's right. Never went to the Coliseum. I haven't been.
Never will either.
Was that?
Never will either.
Nope. Alexander says, I miss Doc, Emmerich, and Gary Thorne.
Yeah, they were good announcers. And Brent, let me tell you something. Don't sleep on Brendan. Brendan's a really good play-by-play guy. Really good.
And the thing that I worry about is how bad can things get out of hand if Brendan Burke leaves for the Yankees job?
I don't know if he'd be able to do both.
I don't think he can.
Yeah, I said I don't know. But I mean, he wants to transition to the Yankees if possible. That's obvious, right?
Yep.
And that's going to be a higher paying gig. I can tell you that much. He's good. He's really good at what he does. I mean, John Sterling he's old.
Yep. And that's always been the rumor, is that he wants to go. He wants to be with the Yankee. He's fantastic at what he does. It'll be a sad day when Brendan Burke leaves. After his contract, he might dip. No, he signed that contract extension, Cameron, 8-year extension. So he's good. We're making a push. Martin Jones is not great, says Amari Productions.
I agree.
He does say his first order is to get rid of Lou. I agree with that.
Again.
Amen. I agree. Put Curtis Grumpy.
I literally hate Ferraro with a passion. That guy just sucks. I hate his voice. That drunk sounding dude on the Rangers is even worse. I think he's talking about Micheletti. I don't know. I
love Micheletti.
I don't think that he dislikes. I don't think that I don't dislike Ferraro at all. I like him. He doesn't bother me.
Let's see here. San Jose hasn't had a legitimate starting goaltender since Evgeny Nabokov. Evgeny Nabokov, says Drew.
He was good. He was good.
He was great.
You know, I like John Butchergrass doing the studio show. I think he's good, and they got PK Subban in there also. And I think he's been wanting a color job forever, or whatever job that he's got, TV analyst, whatever. I think he's been angling for that for years.
He's the guy who will be great at that job. Like, some people, when they talk, you could just tell they're so charismatic. They're so enthusiastic. They're so articulate that they're going to work. Like, for example, Phillip Rivers. When Phillip Rivers would talk after games in the NFL, you said, if this guy ever wants to do anything with an analyst role or talking football during games, he'd be able to do so without skipping a beat. Same thing with Tony Romo.
Yeah.
PK Subban has had his podcast that he's been doing for years, even during season, doing his podcast. I mean, it's a little different doing your podcast in season, professional hockey player. But hey, he found the time, and he does it. He's very articulate. I think he's got a very big personality. People like that.
I just don't think – I never thought much of him as a player. Yeah. I thought – and neither did the teams he played for, honestly. I always thought that he was a guy that – I don't want to say hockey was secondary, but he was always looking beyond his on-ice accomplishments. He was looking for what he could do off the ice. And I think when you do something like that, if you're not fully committed to – playing hockey, that you're not going to be as good as you're never going to reach your potential, shall I say.
He was, and there's always a few times where guys, he performed well. When you look at point column for defensemen, right? He had a few years where he was up there for Nashville, for Montreal, etc. But it's one of those guys who kind of bounce around a few places, and when it's done and then the music cuts, that's it. Drew says most guys on a Sharks team after Nabokov were like 1 or 2 season wonders before being traded to other teams. Yeah. Helen Yeller says here, what's up, guys? Missed the last podcast. He says Leah Hextall, or Helen says Leah Hextall sucks. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Very true.
Yep. Lane Lambert so far is doing very good there, says Cameron. I think he's shown some spots where he is, very proficient, and other spots where he struggles a bit.
The one thing you've seen with this season is you had to move on from Barry Trotz.
The effort level we've seen this year out of the team as a whole is much higher than what we saw beforehand. D-Cut Grumpy.
Mr. Lackadaisical, Noah Dobson going half speed on that breakaway. Kid needs a major kick in the ass. That's one thing about Noah Dobson, that it seems like sometimes it seems like maybe he's lackadaisical, or he doesn't present himself as being ultra urgent. And we've talked about that before also.
Yeah. I think you might get a kick out of this, Grumpy. Strength of schedule. I was looking this up. I was trying to originally figure out what the Islanders' home record was compared to their away record to see how many games we played at home versus how many games we played on the road. But you'll find this interesting. Strength of schedule. You can see here, we have had the 30th toughest strength of schedule out of 32 teams. So, right, we've had the 3rd easiest strength of schedule so far this year. We've got, I think it's the 3rd or the 2nd, 3rd or 4th hardest remaining strength of schedule for the season. So, again, Got to take all those into account. Our goals, again, despite giving up so many high danger chances, we've given 6th in the NHL for goals against.
And I talked about that early in the year. I said you might see Sorokin's numbers actually look a little worse, but him actually be a better player. And I think we're seeing that he's absolutely a better player this year than last year. And I don't know how close his numbers were to what they were last year, but I just thought it was going to be that because we were going to be giving up more high danger area chances just because we were going to have to alter our style by having defense jump in and be part of the rush. Going to leave you a little bit shorthanded in the back, and Sorokin was going to have to stand up, which we have seen. As to the strength of schedule thing, maybe I'm going to look at the silver lining because, my New Year's resolution was to not be grumpy. So I'm going to say we seem to play better against the better teams this year. So when we're playing the poorer squads, we don't do as well. So maybe that's a harbinger of good things to come, TJ.
Oh, there it is, Grumpy. I like how you took that possible negative and you turned it into a positive, Grump.
There you go. See, that's what your job is supposed to be, but you're not capable of it.
I don't know. I've lost my way, Grumpy. What can I say?
Obviously so.
Grumpy, Drew's got a comment.
It says, Phil thinks Fasching is a permanent mainstay in the lineup. I mean,
sure, I agree.
Should be, but knowing our coaching staff, we tend to play more about optics than do about who has more talent. That has been the approach in the past. Maybe it changes this year. We're going to find out awful soon, right? As we've talked about already earlier in the show. Fasching has shown that he deserves to be in the lineup right now. So when these guys get healthy, do you say, hey, you're going to sit for a while? And we actually talked about it the last number of shows. And we say, are they going to have some of these veterans sit out a little while and wait till somebody else cools off and then insert them back into the lineup? That's what I would do because you always ride the hot hand, at least you should, and then incorporate somebody in when they cool off. Nothing wrong with that.
I'll say this year too. I think Hudson, aka Hunter, his real friends know him as Hunter Fasching. Hudson Fasching, I think he should be a mainstay. I think Cal Clutterbuck's done. Bye, Cal. I don't need to see you ever again. Sorry. It's.
Well, there's so many guys who don't deserve to play on this team. I mean, really. Okay. You're enabling Casey Zizekas to play up in the lineup because Atu Ratu has been doing the job as a number 4 center.
Okay.
How is it that Simon Holmstrom is given like big minutes when he's done absolutely nothing?
Never understood that.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's one of those things where I'm kind of still scratching my head, kind of wondering how we get to that point. What's the rationale behind it as well? What are you doing? Oh, are you taking mini sips again out of that drink?
Why you have to micromanage everything I do?
Because I'm talking, you don't hear back. You remember, I'm not looking at you. So
you should pay attention.
I'm trying. Here's the thing. I'm trying to figure out what our home record was compared to our away record. So I'm adding some things up right now.
I already told you what our home record was. I already told you that.
What's our home record? Tell me again.
Home record this year is 12-6. Road record 9-8-2.
Where'd you find that, by the way?
I went to ESPN. They tell you what the home and away record is. I mentioned it earlier in the show, but you were too busy not paying attention.
You told me 9-8-2. I was trying to figure out what the home record was.
12-6.
There it is. Thank you.
All you do is ask me. I can tell you. Got everything right at the tip of my
finger.
There
it is. You made it easy. You made my job easy for me. Thank you, Grump. Helen Yeller says, hope you guys, are having a great year and good health. Go Islanders. We need this win. Thank you, Helen Yeller. Hopefully you guys and everybody listens to the show is having a great start to the new year. They're having a great and sunny outlook, a sunny disposition, a happy and cheery disposition. I know this Islander game has been a struggle and a drag. Hopefully not a harbinger for things to come for this 2023 season. Nick C says, no more power plays, please. Thank God we have Sorokin. He's unbelievable.
True.
Matthew is saying, a ridiculous save by Sorokin. Absolutely it is. Christopher Clark saying, I'm looking forward to the Islanders 2026-2027 season. By that time, Lee, Bailey, Martin, Clutterbuck, Johnston, and all the bad contracts should be gone.
Well, here's the thing. If you got the old man still pulling the trigger, he'll have a whole lot of more bad contracts be given to older players going forward.
Yep, that's what I'm about to say. That's why we need to get his ass out there now. Because here's the thing: how long does Brock Nelson have left on his contract? I'll pull it up, Grumpy.
3 years, I think, 2 or 3 years.
Okay, after this season, he's got 2 years left.
Yeah,
Let's say Lou doesn't walk away. I could see him easily giving a contract extension to Brock Nelson 2 years from now.
To a guy who's going to be 33 years old.
I could easily. Could you not see that? Let's say Lou Lamoriello, worst case scenario, trades way more picks. He's still at the helm 2 years from now. Could you see him giving an extension to 33-year-old Brock Nelson? I can.
Okay.
That's his MO.
Here's the thing. I'd rather move Brock Nelson now, this year, than even potentially sign him to a contract extension. He could absolutely get you some valuable assets in return. Absolutely could. Because he's a solid two-way center. He's solid. Absolutely. And come playoff time, he's a guy. He's not going to be a first-line guy. Never is. But if you need a little bit of punch on your second line and a guy who can play defense, that's always a very valuable commodity come the trade deadline.
Something is worth talking about. We've got this road. I think we've talked a little bit about the road stretch, right? We've got the Kraken. We've got the Vancouver Canucks. That game is going to be on Wednesday. That's going to be a late game. So our podcast will probably be wrapping up by the time that game starts. That's a 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time game. We've got ourselves here Edmonton, right? We play them on Friday. And we play Calgary on this upcoming Saturday. After that, we have a home stretch of 5 games, Grump. The Dallas Stars, Minnesota Wild, Montreal Canadiens, Washington Capitals, and Boston Bruins.
It's another
tough teams. Some tough teams. All at home, though, but some tough teams on that list.
By the way, Montreal beat Boston 5-1 tonight.
I did see that.
That's like the worst game of the season for Boston.
I mean, like Boston was off to so unbelievably of a hot start. You're not going to continue that all season long. You know what I mean?
Okay. You said they've been off to an unbelievable start. Okay. They're like 7-1-2 in their last 10 games.
Yeah. 7-0-3, actually.
Okay.
Great start. Okay. Think about it. Their goal differential is 56 in the plus section on the goal differential. 36 games played. They're 28-4-4. Unbelievable. Unreal. The production. I'm just saying, right? I don't expect them to reel off the greatest, the most winningest team in the history of the NHL regular season. I don't expect those Bruins to do that if they stay on that current pace. It's a little bit of a hard ask.
Yeah, it's true. And you want to know the team that's right behind them? Right behind them.
The Toronto Maple Leafs.
Carolina.
I'm sorry. Okay, Carolina. Gotcha. Yeah, Carolina's hot. 11-game winning streak could do wonders for your team's position. That's for certain. But yeah, tough. All at home, right? All at home. Dallas Stars, Minnesota Wild, Montreal Canadiens, Washington Capitals, Boston Bruins. Whew.
Tough stretch.
The Canadiens are a bad team. We should beat the Canadiens.
The easy portion of our schedule is over. It's over.
Yeah. As I mentioned before, we've got, I think it's like the second or third hardest remaining schedule from this point on for the rest of the season. So
it'll be interesting to see after the Calgary game, if we extrapolate, that's the midway point for us. And we extrapolate that over the course of the season. How do we think we're going to do the second half of the year?
Oh, shit. That's right. Calgary is the halfway point of the season. Wow. Holy crap.
We had 84 points last year, right?
Yeah, 84 points.
Okay. Very interesting.
We're already on better track.
Yeah, okay, but 88 points isn't enough to get us in the playoffs.
Are you thinking we're going to lose every game from here on out, all the rest of these?
I'm just saying right now that if you have 88 points, that's not good enough to get you in the playoffs.
Here's the thing. If we came out and played like we've done tonight against Vancouver, Edmonton, and the Flames, yeah, we will lose all 3 of those games, 2 remaining. But I don't anticipate that.
I could see us beating Vancouver and losing to Edmonton and Calgary. I can absolutely see that.
Yeah, I'll say 92 points is not enough to make the postseason, especially with how good the teams have played so far this year. Anyway, but I figured I'd share that with you. Got to stop that one, says D-Cut, that 2-1 goal.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
disagree on
That was like, it was like over the shoulder, nothing you could do on that.
One-time slap shot in the toy department, is what you would say. Hellier said that was a weak goal. Oh, no.
I disagree.
Come on.
I disagree.
Not a weak goal. Not a weak goal. Cameron says here, Lou's having his diaper changed right now by his mate, thinking how he could screw up the team even more.
Trading first-round draft picks. That's how you do it. Now, I'm interested. The game is once again started up here, the third period. I'm interested to see what kind of jump the Islanders have at the end of this, to start this third period. Did we come out with what we've seen most of the year, which is a team who's ultra aggressive on the forecheck and has much more jump than the other team, or somebody who's been flat like we have been the whole game?
D-Cut. Now, if this is not the pot calling the kettle black, you can't be giving up short side goals from 50 foot. Let's hope Varlamov is ready next game. Oh, Varlamov is the king of giving up short side goals. I don't know. D-Cut's got to be trolling us right now, because there's nothing you're going to do like that on the power play, a one-time opportunity. Gungun says, I enjoy the idea of Mr. Derek Carr to the sad sack Jets next year. Your thoughts?
Get ready to experience more sad sackery if that's the case. Sorokin took a shot up high. Oof. And he's still down on the ice with 19:30 to go. Corey Snyder, it looks like he's playing with his glove. He still has the hat on, so it doesn't seem like he's too concerned.
Can you not make it less mellow, like a monotone way? Is that not? He's lying on the ground. He's moving his legs back and forth as he takes one up high. That could be serious.
I think he just took a stinger. I think he'll be fine. It's just got a shot up high. Looked like it caught him maybe on the collarbone. Like I said, Corey Snyder's just there. He's playing with his little goaltending glove, still wearing the hat. Doesn't seem ultra concerned. It definitely hit him up high, and he's fine.
Okay. So when you announce shit, Grumpy, when you do that stuff, it's like when you become, God damn, Grumpy. Anyway, Put Curtis says here, Bailey was unprotected. Chubby Cheese. Oh God, no. This game is on the coach, says D-Cut. Just as he said, 2 New York teams losing in Seattle today. ? Talking about the Jets. Look at that. Yeah, the Jets and the Islanders. Sure. Eberle is nothing great, says Matthew S. He's not, but he's better than Josh Bailey.
He had very good chemistry with Matt Barzal.
Mm-hmm. And Stephen V says Eberle wasn't playing as well with the Islanders. He had some key playoff goals and definitely hurt to lose them, but his value is higher now than it was during the expansion. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that, Stephen. Absolutely, I do.
I'm going to tell you what, something that I've been impressed with Seattle today is their physicality on the puck, and not running guys on the board, but they look like they're a physically strong team, just able to body guys off, get good positioning, and use their body to take the puck away. I've been really impressed with that from them. I haven't watched them this year, except for when we played them the first time, but they seem like they're a stronger team than us tonight. Maybe it's just tonight. I don't know.
Seattle, by the way, Grumpy, is 11-1-2 for all those listening, when leading after the second period. So they're not a team who gives up these they don't implode in the third period. Helen Yeller says here, my buddy, because Grumpy, we got a lot of comments to get through. My buddy is a Bruins fan, so I bought a bunch of Arizona Coyote stuff for Christmas. So that's
there you go. Very smart.
D-Cut says Palmieri wasn't signed, TJ. Okay, fantastic. That was the summer the old stooge Lou announced all the moves a few days before training camp. Oh, yes, that's right. How could I forget? Because that's what he was supposedly has always done. He's kept everything close to the vest until, the day of camp. Apex Legend says Lou must go. Josh Bailey so bad he shouldn't be given beer league's first line. Oh, God. True. Yeah, D-Cut says, sounds like Wally's out for months. Yeah, they said he's out indefinitely, whatever that means, with a lower body injury.
Okay.
You want to talk about a big hit, right? That's a guy who you counted on to take a step forward. People are going to complain about inconsistency. People are going to complain about. I still think he could have grown into what he needed to be this year, but I mean, that's a loss, I think.
Yeah, but he hasn't taken the necessary step all the way yet. So even though we were expecting more from him, that doesn't mean that he's been producing like that.
You put him on the second power play. You don't put him in prime opportunities to score like you do other individuals.
Well,
So,
it's true, but what I'm saying is that you can't say that, oh, that's a huge loss for us because he wasn't producing for the most part this year. Maybe it's because of misuse. That was a nasty tumble into the boards there by Sebastian Aho. Nasty tumble.
did you forget it because you're glued to the TV? You forget the sentence you were just finishing up.
You realize we're doing a
This is
watch
what I mean,
along.
but you don't do good with multitasking.
You do realize we're doing a watch along, right?
You do realize, Grumpy, we're getting through comments. We're talking about items. You have to be able to carry a conversation without being glued to the TV. If you could get your eyes just every once in a while, that'd be nice.
But then I have to look at you.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. But yes, I think Wallstrom's a loss no matter how you cut it. We're looking at maybe he hasn't done what we originally had expected going into the season. I still think he's a guy who when he gets hot, he lights the world on fire. And, it's I'd rather have him in offensive opportunities than a guy like Hudson Fasching.
Okay, but he's had 16 points in 35 games.
How many goals?
Goals 7.
Okay. So he's a guy who's definitely going to probably, if stayed healthy, would hit 20 goals this year. And here's the other thing, too. He's a guy who I think has been battling injury for a while. I think he's been banged up. He was banged up. He missed time about 2-3 weeks ago, too. And he came out, and I thought he was still battling injury. And I think he took a hit and it further injured it. I don't know if something's torn, what the hell happened to him, but I think he was battling injury, came back, didn't look the same, and then he further injures himself, and he's shut down for a longer time period. That's what I think happened with Oliver Wahlstrom. We'll see how long he's out for, right? If he's out a long time, that's exactly what occurred.
All I'm saying is that for a guy, even though we expected it, his actual performance on the ice, for whatever reason, has not been what we had expected. So the loss, I don't think, is tremendous.
So let's say, right, he got hurt today. Obviously, he didn't get hurt today. He got hurt like last week. But if 3-4 weeks ago, he got the original injury and he was still trying to fight through it, but playing injured, and he injured himself further 3 weeks later so bad where he had to be shut down for a few quote-unquote possible months, well, you're not going to be lighting the world on fire when you're playing injured. That's my point. He was playing injured, playing banged up. That's my take on this. He played well for the start until that injury kind of looked like he started to tail a bit.
He plays 12 minutes a game. You talk
about the responsibilities and what you have to carry as a forward, as a first-line guy. If you're injured, you can't fulfill those duties. Well, let me ask you this. Do you play better when you're injured or when you're healthy?
All I'm saying is...
Quick question. You play better when you're injured or healthy?
Depends on the player. I'm going to say usually when you're healthy, though.
Yes, you play, generally speaking, better when you're healthy than when you're injured.
But
all I'm saying is this. He went off the ice injured about 2 or 3 weeks before that time period with the same type of injury. And then he comes back out there, plays a few games, and he comes off indefinitely, and he's, out for a while. Possibility that maybe he was playing hurt. That's what I'm saying. Would explain the huge drop-off and a huge void of points.
Okay. We'll just agree to disagree on that.
Sure.
We can move on.
That's fine.
Because we got a lot of comments.
You're doing grumpy. Yeah, you're going to start reading some comments.
Which AFC East team will stink the most like an overflowing toilet for the foreseeable future? Jets, Patriots, or Dolphins?
Jets. Jets. Jets or Patriots?
Yeah, I'll go with Patriots.
Worse than the Jets are starting over from scratch with no quarterback again.
Well, that's kind of like what it looks like in New England as well.
New England has a much better coach, though.
For how much longer?
Good point. Helen Yeller, Grumpy.
Helen Yeller says, losing while he hurts, but I think we'll be fine.
Doug
That's
R.
prevailing wisdom. Thank you. Doug R says, the power play is so bad, bringing back Scott Gomez would be an improvement. No, has nothing to do with the coach. It's with the talent or lack thereof.
Giving you an update, being outshot currently 33-14. So it does not look like the Islanders have had any third period jump, only registered 2 shots on net in the third period so far through the first 5.5 minutes of action. Grumpy, Ponyberg Curtis.
Grumpy, 180s cocaine story, please. I don't have one.
You can go ahead and tell your little cocaine story, Grumpy.
I'm not telling any cocaine stories.
Camera with the cam, Grump.
I think Eberle was a safe option to give up because his impact was minimal. They were just looking to cut salary. I think maybe they were hoping they'd take Bailey, but they weren't going to give up any further assets for $500,000. They just wanted to take one of those two guys.
Nick D said, TJ, did you play any Steely Dan on Grumpy's grand piano? No,
TJ doesn't even know who Steely Dan is.
I didn't, but I knew you would. Drew Grumpy.
If the Jets really care about developing Wilson, here's what they should do. Sit Zach Wilson like the Packers are doing with Jordan Love and sign a veteran QB that can at least get you to the playoffs. No.
Once a genie, it's like when the toothpaste is out of the bottle, when the toothpaste out of the tube. When you start putting the toothpaste out and you start squeezing it out like you've done with Zach Wilson, you can't get, hold on, you played 22 games, so let me try to shove that back in, and you're going to go back to being the backup guy for the next year. That doesn't work. Salo's starting to suck again. Says, or maybe he means Aho.
Yeah, he probably means Aho.
Yeah.
Matt Martin trying to rough it up, trying to goon it up a little bit to get a little bit of life in the Islanders. So far, it's not been working.
Ellen Yellow says, we need a cocaine story, Grump.
Not today.
Oh, there it is. Helen Yellow for the win. Doug R saying, another tripping penalty for reaching with sticks instead of playing the man. Yeah.
Very true. It's distressing how bad we've been.
We've been woeful. Like, as much as, right, the highs are, here's the thing. It's important to take this into account. We're never as good as you think. You're never as bad as you think. So, right, we're not as bad as we've played today. It is disappointing and hard to watch, but we're not as bad as the product we've seen on the ice today. We've been dominated, but we're not this bad.
Really?
Yes,
okay.
Correct. Drew.
Then you win in both departments. Zach Wilson develops, and the Jets can maintain success whilst doing so. Problem is, Jets fans are making up that excuse that the GM had a good draft when your first-round pick doesn't make it. Yeah, okay, here's the thing. The fact is they don't have the right offensive coaches in place, somebody to get to him. Maybe he's got a little bit of an ego. Maybe he's just somebody you have to handle with kid gloves. I don't know. But the fact that you're giving up on the number 2 player in the draft after a year and a half, essentially, is kind of distressing. It's like, man, then you got the wrong guy as GM. How do you miss that particular draft pick then?
Helen Yellow says, yeah, buddy, Sorokin is the GOAT with a big
Absolutely.
save. Holy shit, Sorokin, says Matthew S. Google says 94 Hextall in net tonight for the Islanders instead of 2023 Sorokin. The score would be 7-1 by now.
Very true.
And this is what I was talking about. The Islanders have a new rumored general manager. His name is freaking Fredo, baby. He's senile Lou with a sprinkle of nepotism. My God, that would be all. We talk about how bad nepotism is in announcing. Imagine how bad it would be with a general manager.
Fredo has never had a job than anybody without his daddy getting it to him.
Yikes. It's like, oh, fuck. Yikes. Pony says, I like listening to you guys more than actually watching the game right now. Laughing my ass off. Well, thanks, Pony Boy. Hopefully we're providing at least a little bit of a little bit of a laughter and fun throughout this miserable drag. Rick Roma says Devils and the Rangers will make the playoffs. I think the last playoff spot comes down between the Islanders and the Penguins.
I hope that Rick was able to sell some of those Glenn Ross, the Glenn Gary properties. But I'm going to say this. I think it's going to come down to us and the Devils. I think the Rangers will make the playoffs. I also think the Penguins will make the playoffs. The Devils are the team because they haven't been there before that perhaps we could knock them off. Perhaps.
Hold on, was Rick Roma? Was he the name of a character there? Was he Al
Pacino? Al Pacino played Rick Roma. Yeah,
that's right. Rick Roma. That's right. That's a good movie.
Jack Lemmon played Shelley the Machine Levine. That's a good movie. Really good movie.
Who the hell was the old guy? Shelley. Oh, Shelley. That's right. Okay. I can't remember who the hell he was. Alexander says Sorokin has some great saves. He's been our best player. Yep. He absolutely has. Without Sorokin, we would have been, shoot out of the stadium. Right now, we're shoot out of the arena. I'm sorry. Right now, we've only given up 3 goals, and you could thank him for that. Rick Roma saying Leah Hextall was a typical ESPN hire. She's got no experience, was a PXP announcer, and she's awful. So she got the job. What a joke. Stephen V says here, seems like we're overplaying Sorokin a little bit. I know he needs the points to keep up, or we need the points to keep up. I'm sorry. So I'm not saying it's a mistake, but we need to let Ilya rest up to avoid injury.
Well, I don't think it's going to be an issue. Like I said, with the spacing out of the games, Varlamov's going to be back, just like I said. So it won't be an issue. You're talking about somebody who's going to play 65% of the games. It's fine.
Perfect Curtis says here, Metro Division is by far the most competitive. Any other division, we make the playoffs without a doubt. Metro is the most competitive. It's not even close. Pacific is horrible and a cakewalk to make the playoffs there. Absolutely. But
The Western Conference is weak. If we were in the Western Conference, we'd be an automatic for the playoffs. East is the top to bottom, the more difficult conference.
Yeah, and if let's say we're even in the Atlantic, we would not be top 3. The Bruins, Maple Leafs, and the Lightning would still be above us, no doubt about it. Just better teams than us. Stephen V said, if we lose Sorokin, we can forget everything. Yeah, absolutely.
That's okay. I know we won't be trading away draft picks then.
Sal P says, the puck is always, in our zone because our forwards suck so bad. It's just typical Islanders performance. It looks like all these guys are playing together on the first line. Brock, Lee, Bavillier, Bailey, all non-factors.
It's been a terrible game for all those guys.
Doug R said the Islanders need to have another game sprint session like Herb Brooks did in the movie Miracle. Who do you play for? Psh, a little whistle.
Very good.
Get him out there. Stephen V says here, I agree, Grumpy. Pull Sorokin. It's not his fault. He's working too hard in a losing cause tonight. Yeah.
Sometimes it reinvigorates the team. Now the Islanders right now putting on some pressure on Seattle, and that's when the Islanders are good. A lot of crazy, chaotic goals. That's how we tend to score. And one more goal, we're right back in this game. As badly as we've been outplayed, one other goal, we're right back in the game. Sorokin is the reason.
Yep, Sorokin is the reason. Think about that. As much as we've been dominating play or looking like for the last 2 minutes, we're being showing signs of life. We've only registered one shot, and here it is. That's a turnover, 3-on-2 going the other direction. I'm just telling you, Seattle is quick too. Another team that has a lot of team speed.
Those are the teams that give us problems.
And I'll tell you this. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Teams that are aggressive on the forecheck and have team speed. They give us that's the recipe to beat us.
What the hell? Okay, Witherspoon is tackling that freaking Seattle Kraken player. But I'll tell you this. No matter how you put it, you originally didn't think we were missing Adam Pelech that much. I think games like this, we miss Adam Pelech.
Big save by Martin Jones. I don't think if Adam Pelech's here, is he going to stop everyone from buzzing our forward group? No. Adam Pelech hasn't been great this year anyway.
Better than Parker Witherspoon.
Okay, maybe better than Parker Witherspoon.
I'm just saying, right? He's a guy that I think we miss. It doesn't like today's result. It's not like we were going to win if we had Pelech in versus not having him in currently. But we've been without Pelech for 10 plus games with that concussion. I don't think he's back skating yet. D-Cut says here, great coverage in front from Mr. Stofty, Noah Dobson. Well, actually, it was great coverage by Claude Rains in front of the net. Alexander Romanov, disappearing, the invisible man, non-existent, not there. I mean, you got to make sure you're in the right spot at the right time.
It's fire engine hockey now between the Kraken and the Islanders, just to let you know.
Yeah, again, I'm not able to watch the game too much, but because I'm trying to multitask. But Vinny Smith said, Bailey again will not block a shot. Typical. And
unless it's one from one of his teammates.
Nick D says here, typical Islanders. The Rangers win, Devils lose, and we might lose to the Krakens, the crackheads. Oh gosh. I'm back, guys. Sorry, all the ladies were calling me. Gungun says, I thought Trottier, Brian Trottier was good in the booth for a month or so. Or was good in the booth a month or so ago.
He was really good. He was really good. But the whole thing is that a job that he wants to do full time?
That's the big question. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen V says Brandenburg considered top 3 or 4 in the business, at least by me. Absolutely.
Very good play-by-play man. Yes, very good.
Very nice down-to-earth guy, too. D-Cut says, fire lame Lambert.
Lame.
James F. said, Grumpy, you said we're going to be 3-1 on the road trip. So maybe tonight is the only loss of the road trip.
When we come out play like this, it just
I did say 1-2-1.
It's a tough It's just a tough team to get a feel for. And what does that tell you? It means that you're really not good.
We're
You're not
consistently
consistent.
inconsistent. We are
Yeah.
consistently inconsistent, and that
Yeah.
is not a harbinger for winning a Stanley Cup.
Right.
Nick D said, guarantee the Islanders are suffering from a hangover. Seattle is a 3-hour drive from Vancouver, and I'm glad I didn't waste my time to go down there and watch this garbage.
It would have been disappointing for you.
Absolutely. And Bailey, what was that? Alexander Grumpy.
Defense appears to be optional tonight. If you're going to not play D, then play Schneider instead of leaving Soroka out there. True.
Hold on. Oh, man. Drew L did send us a meme. Grumpy. Hold on a second. We got your little meme over here. It says, Grumpy back in the 80s, Grumpy. What are you doing down there, Grump? Those are some thick lines, I guess.
I don't know what happened.
Oh, good gracious. I like that. Let's get back to some comments here. Of course, that bum Bailey fans on a shot. What a freaking bum.
He sucks.
Nice shot by Bailey. Oh, God, yeah. Just as he said, Rangers fans don't care. He's royalty because he's been on the Rangers play-by-play guy for the last 41 years.
He might be talking about Sam Rosen. He's talking about Sam Rosen.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't dislike Sam Rosen either.
Drew says here, those Hab fans that said we won the Romanoff trade must have been Lou's Burner's account.
Very true. Lou's burner accounts.
Yep.
But see, here's the thing. You trade away, and I wasn't opposed to Romanoff, but he's so positionally unsound that it hurts us. If you had got somebody who was a rock on the defensive end who you could pair with Dobson, no problem. But he's part of the problem, not part of the solution.
Well, you said, how do you win this trade if he's a guy who is defensively sound and is the answer for Noah Dobson so he can be more free offensively? Well, he obviously is not that.
Right.
The guy he's played 200 games in the NHL. 200. Haven't seen shit from him. I'll be honest with it. It's not very promising what I've seen for him. Ooh, they're popping it up. The Islanders had 10 comeback wins so far this season.
Yeah, we've been great in the third period.
Yeah, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
But that's not sustainable, right? We've talked about that before. It's not sustainable over an 82-game season.
Andrew L said the only thing to hope for is the third period the Islanders show up and the lousy Kraken defensemen in their own end. Bailey is the pits, says Brett W. Wow, bad 2 periods, says Helen. Andrew L said,
and the third period has not been any better. 7.5 minutes to go.
Andrew L said, good luck with that. You'll be waiting another 2 years for new merchandise. Oh my God. They've stuck poor Ratu between Ross Johnson and Matt Martin.
Yeah, it's not good.
Frank K said, I'll say it again. Lou is a coach of this team and Lane is the puppet. It's obvious. Lane Lambert's the puppet. Okay.
Very possible.
Drew Grumpy's got a comment. I'm looking
you. This game reminds me a lot of those Islanders versus Tampa playoff games where we lose 8-1. True.
And Howie Rose did both to his credit, Mets and Yankees.
Mets and Islanders.
I'm sorry. Oof. And where's Tony Cheese? Good question, Drew. Grumpy, another one for you here.
Grumpy, your New Year's resolution is to not be grumpy. Then what are you going to go by? The old man? That's what I said to TJ. He didn't get it. He doesn't understand.
Stop.
He thought, as being the non-talented version of this podcast, he did not understand that you can't play off my name.
I said, did you want to do a bit where you said, yeah, let's do it? Do you not remember the conversation I had as I was driving home today?
I said,
Christ
no.
Almighty. You said yes and change your mind.
Alexander says, nice, Grumpy. Taking something negative and turning it into something positive. Nice one, Grump. See, there you go. Alexander also says Lee is atrocious. Not sure why no audio controller has told her to stop screaming in her mic, or at least move it from wherever it is so we don't have to hear a loud static of clothes ruffling and then her screeching voice.
At least we get the static clothes. We get those out. I let you know.
Drew's review. I'm gonna take the comments from here on. TJ trying to control Grumpy. It's like it's the Matrix.
There you go, Frank K.
And I'm Neo. Frank K says, Lou was telling Lambert to play Holmstrom on the first live to validate his pick. Lou is the coach.
Oh my God. Vinny Smith said Bailey's mother shoots harder. Alexander.
That's true. Oh, no comment on that.
Grumpy.
Alexander says ESPN doesn't even give a crap about hockey. I don't know who they're kidding. These forced telecasts are horrendous commentators and play-by-play every time. ESPN is a freaking joke.
Goon Goon Grump.
Grumpy, what are your thoughts about the rock and roll singer David Bowie? It's funny you mentioned that, Goon Goon. I'll touch on him in a second. I've been listening quite a bit to that gent lately. TJ, I challenge you to name 2 Bowie tunes. Oh, my God. He couldn't
name any.
He couldn't
Maybe
name
Land Down Under. Is that song?
No, that was the Men at Work. No.
Okay.
Here's the thing about David Bowie. Here's the thing. Is that the end of the game? No, it's not. Okay.
It's like a minute left. There's less than a minute left in the game.
No, something happened. I can't believe it. No, there's something wrong with the clock. It was 7.5 minutes and went to 0. I've been thinking about David Bowie recently. He did so many. He didn't have the same persona throughout his career, right? He was the Ziggy Stardust character. He was the glam guy. Then he was, then in the 80s, he reinvented himself again. And then he was like an elder statesman before passing away. Really eclectic type singer, had a number of really good songs, and a guy who was not afraid to challenge himself. So yeah, I like David Bowie. He wasn't my favorite, but I'm like, hey, I'll listen to Bowie. Sure. Nick D says Islanders and the Canucks are on Tuesday at 7 Pacific Standard Time. You know, the normal time.
Andrew L saying that Montreal Bruins 5-1 game was from the 2016 Winter Classic. Not tonight, Grumpy.
You know what? I tried to look. I'm like, all right, something's wrong. I'm like, I'll just play it off. Whatever. Okay. Paolo C says, guys, Buffalo is tied with Boston for the most goals with Dallas, Edmonton. Buffalo has good talent up front, need to work on their back end, but I'd rather work on the back end. Good future going forward. They need a goaltender and they need a rock solid defenseman.
Could you say Buffalo? Because Buffalo's a team with a lot of young pieces, right? I could justify if I'm Buffalo trading maybe a pick or 2 away to try to add a veteran that you could sign back to a longer contract, like a defenseman, and that could
like really Scott Mayfield and Semyon Varlamov. Tell me that doesn't help them out. And say, all right, we're going to give you 2 number 1s and 2 number 2s for those 2 players. I would do that in a second.
James F. saying Derek Carr is going to the Titans.
We don't know yet. Way too early yet.
What's up, Frank? How are you? And Nick D, not very happy. People are not happy with Leah Hextall tonight.
Is Leah taking a shit? It's dead air for the first 30 seconds of the third. Ray had to take over. Did I tell you that Leah Hextall, she freaking sucks. She does. She's terrible. I just listened to it. Oh, here she is again. I don't even know what kind of costume she's wearing. She's annoying. Her voice is annoying.
Drew says, I'm starting to tell you, I'm starting to feel old. Almost 23 years. My ankle just keeps cracking constantly when I'm stretching it. Yeah, 23 years, Drew. You're ancient, man. It's all downhill from there.
Feel your pain.
Oh, God, look at that.
Pete Cut says, no chance that spineless midget Gross or anyone else in the cartel media will ask Lame if the team was prepared to play tonight. I don't know, but I think we should find out, don't you? I mean, because we obviously were not prepared to play.
Hey, tonight. I wish somebody asked the question, hey, were you guys out there partying last night? I mean, it's an evening game, but people get too hungover where they couldn't show up for the game, early practice. What's going on?
They have fixed the clock problem. 5 minutes and 30 seconds to go.
Because it says, don't play Dr. TJ. You can hardly read. I've seen plenty of injuries in my day. I can tell when people go off hurt and when they come off and they come back on still injured. You can tell. And you can tell, just like when you can say, don't be playing doctor. You don't know Adam Pellet got the concussion. Don't be playing doctor.
TJ didn't even spend the night at a Holiday Inn Express. Wade Flaherty says, this team just isn't good. I hate to break it to Islander fans, but facts are facts. I'm a realist. True. Like I said, we're plucky. We're a fighter squad, but we're an older team that just needs to be turned over. Sorry. I've been calling for this for the last couple of years. Has to happen. They don't want to do it. It makes it more difficult when you don't do a slow transition. Sorry. Mitch and Murray will fix this team.
Wade Flaherty says Sorokin isn't elite either. That's a fact. Hate to break it to Islander fans, but that's a fact. Wade,
I disagree with that.
how do you explain the stats and the numbers that back up that he is elite? I mean, like, do you think his numbers are just like fictitious, or like they're not? Like, I that's why I'm confused. I don't get why people shit on Barzal and shit on Sorokin. Those are the two best players we have on this team. It's not even close for second. And like people were shitting on Barzal, now he's scoring goals. That crowd base, that fan base is quiet. Maybe he goes 5 games without a goal, and they start shitting on him again. But I mean, like Sorokin, he's got a save percentage whatever of above a 9.25. He's fantastic.
The teams that have speed just walk through us like a hot knife through butter. Bernier's just missed a wide. I mean, it was just there's. I'd rather have their roster than ours.
I would too,
top to bottom.
The thing is, they don't have a goalie really. I don't think yet.
No, you can get a goalie though. You can get a goalie.
Regarding forwards, regarding young youth, I think I'd rather be Seattle too.
They're fast.
Nice
they can
shot,
skate. I mean, I don't think they're great defensively, even though that's what they focused on in the expansion draft. But man, oh man, have they improved offensively from last year?
Absolutely have.
Next comment. Drew says, we just didn't have that puck luck tonight. Well, you know what? To have puck luck, you actually got to touch the puck sometimes. And if you don't do that, it's impossible to have the luck.
And not just clearing the zone. Rick Roma, Grumpy.
I can't wait to watch your podcast today. Chris Lamoriello was hired as, my God. That's going to be a dark day. That's going to be a dark, ugly freaking day. If Fredo, because his name isn't Chris, it's Fredo Lamoriello gets the job. I'm sorry. Then I question.
That might be the end of the show.
Then I bury the owners. We have never said anything negative about the owners, not once. Not once on this show. The owner's been great for this team. If they get bamboozled by that fucking fossil to hire his kid, Fredo Lamoriello, I'm going to bury them on site.
I've already kind of talked about the Property Brothers themselves trying to sell the team with Coach Tommy B. We did kind of talk about them possibly being a land grab. But, if they were to hire Chris Lamoriello, that could be the beginning of the end.
That is the end.
That is the show. I'm talking about the end of the show.
What the hell is Average doing out there, that piece of shit?
Well,
they just pulled Sorokin, 2 minutes, 54 seconds to go. But I tell you what, if they get a goal here, they're right back in the game.
Absolutely.
They can get themselves an undeserved point or two. Oh my God, luck.
Sorokin, as bad as you think he may have played, he still had a 9.11 save percentage tonight. Like, I don't get it.
How many high danger chance saves did he have, though?
Fantastic, unbelievable. He's got Sorokin has the highest saves above expected goals against, predicted goals against in the NHL. I don't know how people say he's not elite.
I tell you what, right here at the end, Anders Lee's taking up 2 guys in front of the net. He's doing the best thing he's done all night, which is stand in front of the net. They're just moving him, but nobody's shooting. Big save. And they get the clear.
Ugh.
Without it getting to the icing. Well, okay.
I'll let you continue to read here, Grumpy.
Guys, what are your thoughts on the college playoffs? I think the NCAA got exactly what they wanted. Two high-powered games going down to the last possession. That's what they wanted. They got it.
Yeah.
I don't think they cared who won, but they wanted 2 games that were going to go right down to the buzzer, and they did.
One team lost because of misexecution, sloppy play, and I mean, like, I've never seen as sloppy as a games I saw as a Michigan for that college football playoffs. Unbelievably sloppy, shitty across the board. You talk about a comedy of errors. That's what Michigan was. And Ohio State, right? I thought that was a targeting call against Marvin Harrison Jr. They picked it up. They immediately threw the flags. They picked it up after the review, determined that it wasn't targeting. Looked like helmet contact to me, lowering of his helmet, hit him with the crown of the head. But hey, Georgia was the better team. Came down right to the last drive. Is that exactly what they wanted? They wanted it to be right down to the end, Grumpy. But Matthew S. says, this team is incredibly frustrating. Absolutely it is. Goon Grump.
Yeah. How many poor schmucks do you think paid top dollar to attend both the Jets and Islanders games today and Seattle? Probably not as many as you think.
Oof. You want to talk about for a really nightmarish day. You're coming out, after the Jets lose, you say, "Oh man." I
Like
mean, it would have been too close time-wise, probably.
if you're a Jets fan, you have to say we don't have a quarterback. We don't have a quarterback. And all the dreamers, Mike White, Mike White isn't that. He's not that.
Nope.
But just Geno Smith, 29 touchdown passes this year. In 4 years with the Jets, he had 28 in 4 years. It's the Jets. It's the Jets doing Jets things.
I like Geno's comeback. His story is his story is great.
Yes.
I root for a guy like that. Greg Frost, Grumpy.
Greg Frost says, Witherspoon is solid, better than Pulak, who's been shit this year. They do miss Pellick, though. No, Witherspoon is not as good as Pulak. He's not.
Just call the game. It's over, says Alexander. Meatball Parm, Grumpy says, trash bag team, just like the Jets. Oh, gosh. Frank, Grumpy said,
we made it 3 in a row against the best teams. You sound like a douchey Rangers fan.
Oh, no.
Oh, Wade, we won 3 in a row against it. Is that the end of the game? Nope. But it'll be over in the next 35 seconds.
Messed up. I'm all being banged up here. Drew says, are you going live for TJ and the Grumpy Old Man tomorrow? I don't know. We'll talk about it. Grumpy and I got to talk. A lot of football games on tomorrow. We'll have to talk about it. We'll have to convene. Grumpy and I will have to convene. Ariel C said, make sure you got your notifications on. That's how you know. Ariel C says, Lambert is not an NHL ready coach, in my opinion. Zero discipline, not much structure. Has been, lucky off of stellar goaltending.
Well, as some people on this podcast will tell you, some of the commenters, he's just a puppet for Lou Lamoriello.
I think, too, he's, it's just, think about it. It's smoke and mirrors. Long term, it's not going to be successful. But when you have a guy who's a top 5 netminder in the league, you can afford to do that.
Yeah. They had to change something up. You couldn't change the whole roster because the old fossil signed every veteran under the sun to long-term deals. So you couldn't move anybody, or he's not capable of moving anyone. So they just changed up. They just changed up the voice in the room with someone who had familiarity with the players, who they might listen to. That was it. That's the case.
They needed the team to put more pressure on opposing teams from their defense. That's the only way that was the biggest thing we had to address this offseason. Our defense struggled. Our personnel was an issue, but we could not score. We can't put the puck in the net. That was the biggest issue. So how are we going to address that? We couldn't replace, as Grumpy was saying, the entire forward crew. We only could say, defense, we want you to take more gambles, more risks, and we're going to give up more high-danger chances coming the other way. But we're going to take the gamble and the bet that our goaltending is going to make some fantastic saves. And so far, that's been exactly what's happening. They give up more chances going the other way. They lead the NHL in goals scored for defensemen, and their goaltenders make fantastic saves. But it's just, how long can that be sustainable? As we've always asked the question since about Game 5. And people said, oh, just enjoy what we're doing. But Alexander says, we'll be over the way the Islanders playing. Yeah. Lane gets a pass, says Matthew S. there. And Pulak has looked awful this year, says Ariel C. Yeah, I agree. So Pellick didn't look as good as he has in years past either. Ivan D. Grumpy.
I don't know what the Islanders were playing tonight, but it sure wasn't hockey. Very true.
Cut says, if you remember before the season started, you took calls, and the topic was, what scares you the most about the Islanders? I called and said it was Lou trading away first-round pick. Hold on. D-Cut. That's
right, DJ. You've been riding on D-Cut's coattails the whole season with that take.
Has D-Cut lost his damn mind?
Let me tell you, D-Cut is from Isles Misery Rated R, okay? He hasn't lost his mind. He's a realist.
Let's look here really quickly, because I know Grumpy doesn't make social media posts. Let's look at that. This was pinned on March 21st of 2022. Save this tweet. The Islanders are trading away draft picks in 2022 and 2023 draft to double down on this team that's past their peak. I don't know. I mean, that was March of last year.
I will say,
you did say that, right? But I've been saying this for many months.
So you're trying to say that D-Cut has been riding your coattails by taking what you've said.
You want to know what it is?
Okay.
D-Cut took the idea from me to create this Facebook group called Owl's Misery Rated R. And that's where the animosity has grown from. This was my idea. And D-Cut stole it from me, Grump. And that's why I hate the Islanders misery rated R people, because D-Cut stole that group from me.
D-Cut, don't do that anymore.
Yeah, D-Cut, how dare you? But yeah, I mean, like, there's no look at that, Grumpy. We've made 4,444 tweets.
Really?
4444. Yeah, but anyway, I mean, everybody sees it now. I'm just happy that people are in agreement that that is the worst case scenario. We trade away first round picks and draft picks on a team that's past their peak. That is the worst case scenario for us.
Eventually, everyone will come around to the grumpy old man's way of thinking. It just takes a matter of time. They eventually all, oh my God, yeah, well, that's what we should have done. Hindsight being 2020. I'm proactive. Grumpstradamus. All you do is listen to me. If they let the Islanders had listened to me, all of our problems would be over already.
Jew Grumpy.
I saw something with Carr that throughout his quarterback tenure, he's had the worst defense total in all of his years. I know Carr isn't a franchise quarterback, but the Raiders failed him. Classic Vegas. I just don't think he's in a big moment. He makes mistakes invariably. Sorry.
We've talked about.
I don't think he's poor. I think he's a great guy, a really, really excellent person. I really believe that, but it takes more than that to be a great quarterback in this league. By the way, I'm just going to comment on the People's Champion making the playoffs for the 15th year in a row. Pretty incredible if you think about it.
I'll tell you this too. You're talking about that. Yes, we did talk about the Raiders have had the worst defense over that time period with Derek Carr as quarterback. And that, I think, has led to more opportunities for Derek Carr to be in the one point game or, one score games. And so his failures and not being clutch get magnified because he consistently doesn't execute in those moments. If his team's better and his defense is better, he's putting less of those moments. And it's not really necessarily it's not like a huge thorn in his thumb, if you know what I mean. Ariel C says, when Clutter is healthy, Bailey should sit, put Fashing up with Barzal.
Why not?
Yeah, I'm like, you could sit Bailey. Here's the thing. I'm not in favor. People have been saying this, right? When Holmstrom's healthy, we should instead sit Bailey for Holmstrom. I don't think Holmstrom has a spot on the team either. He's not ready yet. I'd rather have Fashing in than both.
He sucks. It's not that he's not ready. He sucks. He's a piece of shit dust.
Yes, I did. I did show the memes, Drew. The Coke. I did. Lamarilli.
Lamarilli.
Lamarilli is
Cinderelli. Okay, Lamarillo. Just another Milbury. No, he's better than Milbury.
He is. Goon says, Grumpy, which character did you associate with most as a younger, less grumpy man? Otter, Flounder, or Stork?
None, actually. I was more like Pinto. Smartass.
A pinto bean. Ariel C says, that's an awful take by Wade. Laughing my freaking ass off. My God. Tell me you don't know hockey without telling me you don't know hockey. Oh, no. Yeah.
Ariel's fired up today.
Sorokin's great. I don't know. Here's the thing, though. This is what I mean. People online think Sorokin's overrated. They think Matt Barzal doesn't do the job.
No.
Matt Barzal was getting so much shit when he had 0 goals. They said, it's going to work itself out. The guy is the most dynamic offensive player we have on this team by a country mile. Without him, we don't do anything.
I just want Metro Division since December 6th. Hurricanes 21 points, Capitals 21, Rangers 18, Penguins 14, Islanders 12, Flyers 10, Devils 8, Blue Jackets 6. I mean,
you said this is the Metro since what day? I'm sorry.
December 6th. December 6th. Hurricanes 23 points, 11-0-1. Capitals 21, 10-1-1. I mean, and we're down there just treading water. Not good enough.
Yeah, so over the last essentially 11 or last now 12 games, that's what a record. Yeah, the record has not been good. In the last 12 games, we have 12 points. Not good enough.
No.
Not good enough. Simple as that. Apex Legends says here,
this team is a joke. Bailey and Zeke are on line 1. What a clown show. You just can't take this team seriously. And I bet Lou trades a first rounder for another bum like Palmieri. I'm telling you, you're going to find out real quick if the ownership has a firm grasp on what's going on with this team. If they let him make a trade away first round draft pick, they have no clue. Then I'm going to bury them. They're the next one because Lamarillo didn't get right. Trotz is gone. Lamarillo's next, then it's ownership.
Oof, Grump.
Fredo should never, ever be a GM of anything, not even a food store.
Maybe he might be decent managing a food store, Grumpy, but I
think
don't know. I don't know, Grumpy. It's worrisome. That's something I cannot imagine that as being legitimate. So I'm going to live in ignorance and hope that never happens. But yeah, you're right. What a joke. Think about this. If you told somebody at the beginning of the year, hey, your first line is going to be Matt Barzal, Josh Bailey, and Casey Cizikas. What would everybody's reaction be? Would everybody say, that's great, Lou. I'm glad you didn't make any moves this offseason to add legitimate forwards. I'm glad we just rolled the same shit back. What do you think the reaction would be from fans? I'm happy Casey Cizikas and Josh Bailey are playing on the first line with Matt Barzal. It's scary. It's scary.
It probably would have been the same response that I've had for the last 2 years when we've done nothing to improve the team. Like I said, we are the curve here. We are the curve.
Yeah.
We're just well ahead. We can see things miles down the road. Miles.
Alexander said Wade Flaherty was garbage.
Wow.
Drew says here, damn, Seattle. Matty B, I need you to score for my fantasy team. And Paulo C says, guys, let's be realistic. It's between us and Washington for the last playoff spot. I don't think we make it. I want to tank to finish in the bottom 5 teams. It's a really strong draft this year.
I am all for trading Mayfield, Varlamov. Gosh, I'm real close to saying Nelson too. I just think he can get you a boatload of assets. They cannot go into next season with the same casting. If you don't make the playoffs 2 years in a row with the team where the average age is 30 years old plus, your forward group is over 30 years old, you have to blow it up. You just can't kick the tire down the road anymore. Start offloading veterans who have any value and reload. Yeah, there's going to be some downtimes. That's fine as long as you know how to pick.
Oof.
And it's not going to come down to us in Washington. Washington will make the playoffs. They're just going to be getting stronger. When they get Wilson back and Backstrom back, there's no turning back for them. They've had the tough portion of their schedule. They hung in there. They kicked around, and now all of a sudden they're taking off. Ovechkin's been on fire because he's on a freaking mission right now.
Washington has the easiest remaining strength of schedule out of any metropolitan team. They're not the team to worry about them not making the postseason. People worry. Oh, no, they're not for real. They're for real. You can never count out the silver-haired fox. You can never count out legends of the game. That's why let's say even Penguins were to slip. Let's say the Penguins go on a 9-game losing streak. The Penguins have Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin.
And Mike
Sullivan. Hall of Famers.
And Mike Sullivan is coach.
Yeah, I'm talking about on the ice, right? Because players win games, coaches lose them, as you always say.
Yep.
But when you've got first ballot Hall of Famers on the ice that still have some left in the tank, they have the ability to turn it on and be dominant for a time period. When you have guys who are good or really good players, when they start to fade, they fade. The legends could still kick in. I mean, like those are legends. Ovechkin's a legend of the game.
True.
Crosby, Malkin, legends of the game. So, those guys are first ballot Hall of Famers, every single one of them. It's unfortunate that we've been playing against those guys year in and year out for years and years and years. That's just the unfortunate part about it. So it's brought more pain for the Islanders. But yeah, I don't think, to answer your question, Paulo, too, we're never going to get bottom 5. We will not be able to lose enough games to get there. No. We're too good of a team to be a bottom 5 team. But I think, the worst case scenario, we're on the outside looking in and we give up draft capital for this year. Worst case scenario. Rick Roma says here, first prize is the Stanley Cup. Second prize is a set of steak and ice. Third prize is you're fired.
He knows.
Glengarry Glenn Ross. There it is.
Mitch and Murray asked him to come down.
D-cut, Grump.
If Chris is Fredo in the Lamoriello family, is it safe to say TJ is the Fredo of the Grumpy family?
That's an X.
No, neither one of them are Fredo. You have to be really freaking dumb to be a Fredo.
That's Dog Z.
Yeah, and he's a dog. but we like him.
Frank says, oh my God, we had 3 wins in a row against 2 of the best teams in the league. Now the sky is falling after one lousy game. I blame the Jets. They rubbed off on the Islanders. I like that. Though. I wouldn't say
it's not the fact that we lost the game. It's how we came out and how we played today. Just disinterested, no drive, no jump. That's unacceptable.
We talk about the teams we played and we beat. Let's talk about them for a second. So in the division, the Florida Panthers are the 4th worst team. I'm sorry, in the conference. The Florida Panthers are the 4th worst team in the Eastern Conference. The Blue Jackets are the worst team in the Eastern Conference. And the Pittsburgh Penguins are the 7th best team.
And they've lost 4 in a row.
I mean, man, I thought that stretch was going to be tough, those few games there too. Florida's on a free fall.
Yeah.
They've lost now what? They're 3-7 in their last 10. They have 36 points in 38 games. Paul Maurice has to go. It's an absolute terrible. They have got the Paul Maurice has to go. Until Paul Maurice goes, I've got no worry about them. And here's the thing too. I think that Florida has already done too much damage to their season, even with a fantastic comeback in the second half to make any playoff push. They're too far out of it. Florida's done. It's just that simple. And we've played Columbus every single time. We're not playing Columbus anymore this season. I think we've played them all 4 times already. We won't have the shitty Columbus Blue Jackets to beat up on anymore this season either.
We got 4 games against Washington. I don't. His thing. Barry Trotz was able to beat Washington.
Yeah, he was.
But how did we beat Washington? We locked them down. We played ultra defensive style. We don't do that anymore. That's not our system anymore. And again, Ovechkin's on a mission.
He's fantastic.
I think he wants to get to 893 goals this year.
That's how he's starting. Yeah. And so again, I'll just pop this up on screen just because I know I've been talking about that. Just so I'm more of a visual guy for those who are watching the YouTube version, right? When you look at the strength of schedule, Rangers have a tough remaining strength of schedule, slightly tougher than ours. We have the 3rd toughest remaining strength of schedule in the NHL. We play the Bruins twice, the Hurricanes twice, the Maple Leafs twice, Dallas once, the Lightning twice, Vegas once. You're seeing we got no more games against those miserable. We got 1 game left against the Columbus Blue Jackets.
2 against the Flyers.
3 against the
Canadians.
Well, here's the one thing. Beauvillier always plays well against the Canadians.
Yes, he does.
So, hey, as long as Beauvillier is not traded and still on our team when they're playing the Canadians, I'm feeling good about that. We play the Flyers twice and then the Vancouver Canucks twice. So we'll see how it goes. But just to share that. Just to share that with you guys. Greg Frost said, I'd like to get what Wade Flaherty's smoking. Sorokin's the reason we're above 500. Wonder where he gets his facts on Sorokin. He's the real deal. I know Sorokin's good, but I just not coming at you, Wade. But I mean, a lot of people share that sentiment online. They don't think Sorokin's an elite goalie. They think he's bailed out. I don't see how people see that. It reminds me. Do you remember when Roberto Luongo used to get hate when he was in Vancouver? The guy was a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Fame caliber player, first ballot. Do you remember when he used to get hate in Vancouver as the goalie?
Yeah.
And you said, "Oh no, we've got to roll out Corey Schneider. He's better than him." Just I'm like, no, anyway. Jeff Sobel said this team looks like they're in trouble. No effort tonight.
That's the concern.
That's only 1 game though, right?
But
the sky's not falling. I will say, I do agree with a bit what Frank said. The sky's not falling yet.
But the fact I just don't see how you come out that flat. You had no jump today at all. None whatsoever. Totally dominated from start to finish by Seattle, by the Kraken.
You want to
Dominated.
Want to know my thoughts?
No.
Okay, we'll move on then. Luar says here, Islanders tonight should apologize to the Seattle fans for today's piss poor performance.
Okay.
Jeff Sobel says every team has injuries. Sorokin has not been as good.
I disagree.
Their defense allowing the Kraken to skate in untouched today.
Okay. Here's the thing, Jeff. This is what I said before the season started. You might think because his numbers aren't as good that he's not playing as well. He's being hung out to dry every single game multiple times. And I said his numbers might not be as good, but he's actually be playing better just because that we're not going to have the system, the structure in front of him. And I think that's what you're seeing. He gave up 3 goals tonight.
He has the same exact save percentage as last year, a lower goals against average, and he leads he's tied for the lead in the NHL in shutouts this season.
That's pretty good.
He's been fantastic this season. His saves above expected goals are higher than anybody else in the league. He's fantastic.
By a mile.
Played well tonight. I just don't know. And that's why I said Wade's not the only person. Jeff's not the only person. A lot of people don't think Sorokin played well or has played well this season. They expect more from him. And I think Sorokin's fantastic. That's it. Oh God. Alexander's got a new logo. It says, I'll read it. It says, "This team makes me drink," in the Dolphins logo. Absolutely pathetic showing by both the Islanders and the Dolphins. And here's the thing. When you're a fan of 2 teams like that and you're watching the games of both days, there's nothing worse than like 2 or 3 of your teams losing in the same day in shitty fashion. There is nothing worse than that as a sports fan. Nothing at all.
Here's the thing. The Patriots, who are in line to get the number 7 seed right now in the playoffs, have only beaten 1 starting quarterback in all their games this year. They have 8 wins.
Justin Fields.
No.
Oh.
Justin Fields. No, it wasn't Justin Fields. It was, they lost to Chicago. It was Jared Goff.
Oh.
They beat Detroit. Other than that, they beat the Jets twice. The noodleless Dolphins today. You can go through and look it up. But they beat just 1 starting quarterback all year.
Think about that. You want to talk about a team that's been very fortunate. How many defensive touchdowns do the Patriots have because
they had another one today.
Quarterback. Yep.
Another one that broke. That's the one that broke the back of the Dolphins. Was that interception return for a touchdown? Then what's his name? Stiff-armed Teddy Bridgewater into oblivion. They brought Skylar Thompson out, and that was that. The Dolphins came back. I mean, they did score a touchdown to make it within 2 points, but loser teams find ways to lose. Period.
Yeah. Jazz says here, I think the Islanders just hate playing on ESPN. John Smith saying, blow it up.
Blow it up. See, there's another one coming on. Ricky Roma says Lou will be bumped up to president. Fredo will be the GM. Oof. Frank Lamarillo, assistant GM. Vinny Lamarillo, head of player personnel. Tommy Lamarillo, new head coach. Let's go.
Oh, good gracious here. James F said, stop. Carr had 14 interceptions this season. Defense played better this season. Offense didn't come through this year.
Their defense was terrible. Just terrible. It's a new regime change. It's a culture change. How many games did they lose by 3 points or less? Quite a few. Quite a few.
Alexander says here, if you think Sorokin's overrated, you don't know hockey there. Matthew S. says, Ariel destroying Wade in 1 post. This is why she's awesome.
Way to go, Ariel.
Brett W. said, did we quit when
the Germans brought Pearl Harbor? The Germans?
No.
Let him go. He's on a roll.
Punterberg Curtis, Grumpy.
Damn, I missed the 3rd period. I had to turn in my phone to go to damn group. Islanders got smoked. They did.
But you didn't miss anything, my friend. The Islanders got a night.
Saved yourself some angst.
Yep, absolutely. Steve S. says, Happy New Year, boys. I think our team had too much of champagne last night.
I agree, Steve. Maybe some in the locker room today before the game.
I was about to say, that's what I think of the reason why we played like such shit is everybody was hungover.
I think we're going to beat the Schnucks, though, on, was it Wednesday night?
I think we'll see a better effort.
I do, too.
Like the transitive property. Right, the Edmonton Oilers beat the living shit out of the Seattle Kraken, so the Seattle Kraken played a hard game today. Well, Seattle Kraken beat the hell out of us, so we're going to beat the hell out of the Vancouver Canucks. I know originally I said I thought we could lose to Vancouver, but after watching today's performance, I expect a much better showing against Vancouver on Wednesday. Thanks, Frank, for the love, guys, in my Islanders community. Absolutely, Pony Boy. Lou shouldn't be able to be the general manager of a fast food restaurant, let alone a hockey team. He says he likes it. Brett W. says, if that geezer would have closed the deal with Johnny Gaudreau, would not have to give away more picks.
There you go. That's the guy I wanted in free agency, right? Johnny Gaudreau. Guess what? Matt Barzal has a ready-made winger to play with him. Then you put anybody on the other wing. You could throw a Fashing up there or a Wallstrom up there easily. Those guys, 2 creators, 2 guys who work well together, 2 guys who could skate.
No, Grumpy. All we need to do is put Kyle Palmieri and JT Parise, or I'm sorry, Zach Parise on the first line. That's going to solve our issues. That's our offseason. Put Parise and who the hell was it at the preseason that we had at left wing? Parise. Maybe Parise was left wing and Bailey, right? I don't even freaking remember. But yeah, all we need was Parise, Grumpy. He's going to solve our issues. 38-year-old Parise. 38 special. Ponyberg Curtis says, they should have put Parise up on the first line with Cizikas and Cizikas on the third line.
Yeah, I disagree with that too.
Parise just Wade Flaherty says Leah Hextall. So I just wanted to show this. Leah Hextall's great at her job. So Wade disagrees with the majority of fans. He likes Leah Hextall. How about blaming the Islanders' garbage effort? Yeah, the Islanders.
I think we did. I think Wade has a history of trolling a little bit. I think he's having a little bit of fun right now. It's all right.
That's fine. Have fun.
Watch the Islanders go. Bailey passes to Barzal, to Casey, back to Barzal. Somehow Bailey gets an assist. How is that? Exactly. How the hell is that?
Because he touched the puck once.
But he touched it 45 minutes ago.
He still gets it. He still gets credit. Oh, God. I'm telling you. Brett W., Grumpy.
We should just clean out some of these over-the-hill players and do a retool. This team isn't winning the cup.
Look
Been there, done that. Leah Hextall looks like a melted piece of plastic.
When I think melted pieces of plastic, I think like Toy Story, where they went out there and like all those things got demented. Frank said, can't trade Brock Rumpel, man. He's so underrated, it's scary.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Who can we move on this team where you can do a fast rebuild?
Here you go, Grumpy. Got a comment from Jazz.
Ja S. I want to ask this for both of you. Would you rather get teams like the Jets, Islanders, Mets to win it all right now and suck a year or two later them, or switch being good? You want to win championships, but I don't think any of those teams, particularly the Jets or the Islanders, are ready to win a championship. The Mets, I don't like what they did this offseason.
Yikes.
So for me, I don't know. I think the Mets are on a better path. Like I said, I don't like how they're going for older players right now. I don't, particularly as a pitching staff, I think it's a mistake. But for the Jets and the Islanders, I'd rather that we suck and get better. The Jets have a brighter future than the Islanders. The Islanders have the worst future of all those 3 teams.
By the by, yes, I do. Andrew Gross said, consensus from the Islanders players and Lane Lambert, a lack of execution, crispness in the game, couldn't initiate clean breakouts, had trouble getting through the neutral zone. How about it didn't show the effing effort?
How many excuses was that?
Oh, we didn't do this, we didn't do that. Where's the effort?
Christmas. Okay.
No, crisp.
Crispness. Okay.
I'm sorry. Let me articulate. Crispness.
Okay, I got it now. Okay. I thought you said Christmas.
Christmas, Grumpy.
Okay. I mean, every other team had a Christmas break too. I don't know. And that was like a week ago.
No, Pony Boy. Don't need to read that.
Oh, shit. I wouldn't touch Leah Hextall with my Badoop.
Alexander says we had the first bout. Hall of Famer Josh Bailey. Yeah, that's right.
You want to know what Leah Hextall looked like tonight? You remember those old cartoons where they used to have the coyote would try to steal sheep, and they had a sheepdog, and one time he put like miracle hair, and the hair grew down over his whole face. That's what Leah Hextall looks like. That sheepdog with the hair all over her face with those bangs. Those bangs were bad news bangs. I'm sorry.
Bad news bears. Okay. The Jets on skates.
Very good.
Maurice will be gone at some point, says Matthew S. Yeah, all they did was just waste a year. I don't get it. I don't get why they're continuing to stick with them. Get rid of that.
They had their coach and they got rid of him. They bowed to the pressure.
The Islanders have the worst general manager. There's a reason Toronto booted his ass years ago. Do you remember people earlier this year were saying, Kyle Dubas is going to be fired. He's going to be fired. Bye-bye, Kyle Dubas.
That's not happening.
Tune. Yeah, they've got a good, well-constructed team. I think this is the year they Here's the thing. They're going to be playing, unless Boston falls off the freaking rails, they're going to be playing the freaking Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round again.
That's bad news for them.
I agree. And here's the thing: unless Boston falls off the rails, do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. Alexander says Bruce Cassidy should have been the coach of this team.
I don't think he was even an option. I don't think he was even an option for that team.
It doesn't matter who the coach is. This is on Lou. Yes, I agree. This is all on Lou now. All on Lou.
Yep.
And Frank says Florida was good last year, even though they're not in the playoffs, but they traded key players to get in a stud. Like I said, trades rarely work. Well, I think it's more coach.
The mistake they made was bowing to pressure and getting rid of Quenneville. That was the mistake they made.
Sal P says here, Florida was a good team last season. I think trading away Huberdeau and Weegar really messed their team up there with the team chemistry.
They've had a bunch of injuries too, which has hurt them.
Apex Legends says here, on a positive note, Alexis Lafreniere is a bust.
I'm not calling him a bust. He's been playing third, fourth line.
Yeah, they put him on the third, fourth line.
Okay, yeah. And he's 21 years. He's 20 years old.
He's 21 years old.
Who would you rather have, him or Holmstrom?
Yeah, I don't get why he's getting branded as a bust either. Sometimes it takes guys a while to find their way.
And it's not like he's been put. They have much more talented offensive players. That's against him.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, he's a bigger guy. Was 6'2". I mean, he's not like a small guy. And, here's the thing. 36 games, 17 points. I've seen some first overall picks being even worse than that. He's playing about 15 minutes of ice time a night on average. I would take him on our team any day of the week. I don't watch every single game, but still. Pony Curtis says, Alexis, organizational failure, Lafreniere. What's the score? Says Christopher C. We lost 3-1, Christopher. Frank K said, Sorokin's been outstanding. He's better than last year. Not even close. I agree.
100% agree.
A lot of people are stupid, TJ. LOL. Ja S says here, people who say that Sorokin are overrated or stupid, they just say that because they saw Shesterkin's numbers and think that he should be close to putting those up. Yeah, not happening. D-Cut says the $10 million man played like a freaking $100,000 man tonight. Looked totally disinterested.
I think he said the 10-cent man is what he said.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's 10 cent. I'm sorry. I accidentally put millions in front of there. Okay. So who's the $10 million man? You talking about Noah Dobson? You talking about my boy Noah Dobson? D-Cut.
He's only getting paid for
future $10 million. The future $10 million man. That's what it is now. Don't be talking bad about my boy Noah Dobson, D-Cut. Don't you be talking bad about my boy Noah Dobson. Paulo C. Grumpy.
If it's not between us and Washington, so it's between us and which team? Because I don't see us finishing ahead of Pittsburgh, the Rangers, Jersey, Florida won't make it. Buffalo will finish ahead of us. I don't think so. I just don't think anyone. I think you could see 5 teams come out of the Metro, and I think it's going to come down between us, Jersey, and the Rangers for the last 2 spots.
Yeah, the Rangers have a tough schedule for the remainder of the year. Here's the thing, though. The Rangers can add grit pieces in a defenseman for a first-round pick because they have such young pieces around them. And you can say the same thing with the Devils.
They have talented teams. They can use a little bit of grit, but we don't have talent. That's the issue with us. You can't pick up talent.
The Devils and the Rangers are both young teams with their core, so they can give away draft picks because they have so many young players. There's only so much puck to go around on the ice. They can give away a first-round pick and trade away a first-round pick to add a legitimate defenseman and a legitimate sandpaper guy. You're right. We can't add, hey, here's Johnny Gaudreau for a bag of pucks. We can't do that. Grumpy, you don't know what you're talking about, my Raiders. You don't know what you're talking about on my Raiders.
Okay. I watched them all year. I know what I saw.
Here's an overrated goalie. Sergei Bobrovsky. Not even a thought. Yeah. He's overrated. He made everything off of that few good years in Columbus. That's it. I don't think he's been fantastic in Florida. Raiders' problems was in the red zone. Yeah, I agree. The game should have been 8-1. Yeah, but Sorokin's horrible. Yeah, Sorokin kept that intact. It's that simple. Without Sorokin, that game would have been out of hand. Like I said, I want some Wade smoking. Punterberg Chris says, fire TJ and Grumpy, hire D-Cut and Prado. There it is. Fair enough.
I just want to say that the Raiders have given up the 8th most points in the league this year. Just saying.
Grumpy had to look that up.
Well, I knew their defense was for shit all year. The pass defense is just abysmal. They let that Purdy kid look like he was a second coming of Peyton Manning out there.
Brock Purdy has played well, though, this year.
Yeah, they haven't played anybody any good.
True. They haven't played anybody with a win record.
He says, I told you guys that spineless midget wouldn't ask if that was the effort.
He says, Paulo C says, Happy New Year, guys. You guys are great. Keep it up in 2023. Take care. See you next time, Paulo. Absolutely. Andrew L said, should have put Zach Wilson on the top line.
Why not? Why not?
Trying anything at this point. And can the Jets put a bag over Pickett's head and kidnap him and bring him to New York?
Kenny Pickett has led Pittsburgh on a last-minute touchdown drive where it looks like they could very easily beat the Ravens, which means that Cincinnati clinches division and Pittsburgh's still in running for the final playoff spot.
Kenny Pickett Grump. There it is, man. Kenny Pickett. Wow, Kenny Pickett just led a great game-ending drive. The kid has moxie. I said this in the draft. I said this everybody in the draft. People didn't listen. His hands are small. This happens, that happens. He's got what it takes to be successful. How successful? Different question. But he will be successful to a certain extent. Ja S says, I think the Islanders got to do what the Leafs did. Throw 1 or 2 seasons after making the playoffs. And
that's a fumble. Oh, my God. Okay.
He says, thanks, pal. And Schneider versus Canucks, says Ponyberg Curtis. Could you imagine Schneider versus the Canucks, Grumpy?
Why not?
A shooting gallery, man. But Grump, we're here at the end of the show today. What do you want to say before we wrap things up?
I want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens. Happy New Year to everyone who listens.
Yes.
And even the people who don't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. We truly love all of you, all Islander fans, all TJ and the Grumpy Old Man fans. We would not do this without you guys.
Absolutely. You're the only reason we do this. And, thank you guys always for your time, for your interaction with us here. We love it. We appreciate it. Obviously, good health and great wishes off to, a strong 2023 start. Even though our Islanders had a very, very poor performance today, you're never as good as you think. You're never as bad as you think. Let's go, Islanders. Thank you again, as always, Grumpy Old Man. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Grumpy.
My pleasure.